right about there. How's it going, everybody? Happy Sunday. Welcome to Aromatically Speaking, my secondary channel. This is a live stream that I call Smell It Sunday. And it's become a staple. It's become a staple of almost every Sunday. Yeah, just about every Sunday. I think I missed maybe a few Sundays, but I thoroughly have been enjoying this experience. And today we have a lot of candles. Some days we talk about movies and stuff like that. We get off topic, but today we have a lot of candles to talk about. And if you've read the headline, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So first thing to do is, let's turn that music off. It's as easy as that. Let's pull that down, and then I have you guys, I should have you guys pulled up. Let me pull you up. If anyone's new to the channel, please hit that subscription icon below, because this is going to be a place where I'm going to be spending a whole lot of time talking about candles. On my main channel, The Candle Enthusiast, which you should also subscribe to, this is the time of year where I travel. I'm on the road. I just got back from a 4-day, super long, it doesn't sound like it's a long time, but a super long road trip with a lot of driving, a lot of filming, a lot of walking. I have about 10 hours of footage to be editing. So this is the, you know, because the main channel is focused on the travel aspect of the seasons and the amusements and the festivities and celebrating aromatics in other forms, not just in candles. This is the place you're going to want to be if you want to chit-chat about candles. And today we're going to do just that. If you've read the headline, you'll see that it says a Colonial Candle Massive Autumn Haul and Unboxing. So yes, I have two massive boxes here that I'm going to open. I'm going to share my initial thoughts and impressions with you. I want to preface that these candles were gifts from Colonial Candle. It's a part of their PR system. They have watched my videos in the past. I've evaluated, not reviewed, I've evaluated Colonial candles in the past, meaning I've just tried to describe the sense of the candles. But, you know, I tried to keep my opinion out of it as much as possible. Opinion as far as my personal preference, right? Because what's important to me is not what I like. What's important to me is that I'm describing to you precisely what I smell. That is one of the reasons a lot of people ask me, why, like, Shane, like, why don't you use the word review? Why do you always use that word evaluation? Because I don't review. I'm not a Siskel and Ebert thumbs up, thumbs down kind of person, right? I might love a candle. You may hate it. That's okay. That's the beauty of candles. That's what makes candle burning so fun. So I'm leaving it up to you to decide whether or not you enjoy these candles. But Colonial, the folks I've been dealing with, they have been super kind and generous. They have said wonderful things about my videos, and to be honest with you, I've smelled a bunch of them already, and some of them are right down my alley. Some of them, not so much. But I know other people would really like them. So I want to show you what I've smelled, unbox what I haven't already seen, and there's a lot. There's a lot. So let us get started. And like I said, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can always unsubscribe. If you start to realize, like, wow, I don't, this guy's a little strange, a little weird, you can always unsubscribe. But don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon, because this way you'll be notified every time I go live. I'm going to be going live spontaneously all the time now that I'm traveling. I crashed a wedding party the other night. It was only a couple seconds long, but it was kind of fun. Anyway. So to set up, I have my coffee, I have my pocket knife to open up the boxes, and just to show that, I'm not, I don't have any bias towards Colonial Candle. I'm burning a wood wick right now. This was a gift from Jeff up in Maine. This is I think it's called vanilla bean, but it comes in this beautiful, like almost like ghostly treats looking tumbler. It's crackling. I got the AC on, so it's hard for me to hear, but maybe you'll pick it up. I also have my candle enthusiast mug, inspired, of course, by the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And it's a good point at this juncture, it's a good point to mention that the image that you're looking at is flopped or flipped. Flopped would be this way. It's flipped horizontally. So when you see text on these candles or text on this mug, it's going to be backwards. Your eyes aren't deceiving you. There's nothing wrong. Don't call your optometrist. I know there's a difference, but I can't remember. Never remember what the difference is. I'm also going to light this pillar candle because you know what? I like that little extra flicker and glow. And let me address some of you folks joining in the live chat. Now, please excuse me. I rewatch these lives from time to time, and I see that I miss a lot of people's comments, and some of the comments or questions are really good ones. So if you have a really good question, feel free to ask it a couple times if I miss it. Just don't post it like 100 times in one shot. All right, we got a lot of friendly faces, familiar faces in the house. Hello, everybody. I'd go through everybody by name, but we have quite a few. Let's get this party started. All right. So, have we been watching other candle? Again, I'm not a candle reviewer, but have we been watching other YouTube candle reviewers talk about Colonial candle? If you have, it shouldn't come as a surprise because, like I said, Colonial candle, including their cobweb, their Halloween collection, they have been sending out these candles for free for people to review them, just like you would when if you wrote for like the Chicago Tribune or geez, I'm trying to think of other newspaper publications. The New York Times, Variety magazine. Reviewers of movies get shipped screener copies of the movie before they are released to the public. So that's exactly what they're doing. They're sending out candles for folks to review them. But I told them I'm not going to review them. I'm going to smell them and tell you what I smell. So let's start with these two. These are two that I have smelled. I brought these along on my 4-day journey through New England, and I filmed some folks. I got some other folks' opinions of what they thought. Some just random New Englanders on the side of the road selling pumpkins, having garage sales. I just stop off and I said, hey, do you guys want to smell these candles on camera? So look forward to seeing some of that. But this one right here is called White Pumpkin. Now, all of these jars, tumblers, are going to look, I think, at least this collection, this is supposedly new. Supposedly is a big word there. Supposedly new for the 2018 season. Now, if you do shop at other retail arenas like TJ Maxx, Home Goods, Marshalls, a lot of folks have confirmed that these same fragrances can be found at smaller costs than if you went to the Colonial website, but they're not listed as Colonial candles. They have a different name on them, Candle Lux, something like that. Either way, whether you buy these on the website or you hunt them down in TJ Maxx, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what they smell like. So here we go. White Pumpkin. These aren't going to be in-depth reviews, but this is one that I remember really liking a lot because it's very creamy. This is like pumpkin spice, and instead of whipped cream, you get a little bit more of, or say instead of like frosting, like a heavy, thick, sweet frosting. This is more of a creamy buttercream. I was picking up coconut the last time I smelled it. I'm not really picking that up now, but you know, if you love the idea of pumpkin spice, and if you're like a pumpkin spice latte person, but you know, it's baking spices, if you're one of those, I was having a conversation this morning with a friend, and it was Philly Candleman, Brett. He was saying how he's not really big on star anise. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. But yeah, I mean, there's baking spices that can irritate our sinuses and give us headaches, and even sometimes induce nausea. This is very, very mild. This is going to give you a soft linger. If you burn this, it's 3 wicks. You know, they did not supply any information about the blend of the wax, but this is a softer wax. So I'm guessing some form of maybe soy, but at least a vegetable blend wax. And they do burn quite nicely and easily and quickly. 3 wicks. The placement on those wicks, pretty good for me, you know. I've seen much worse, but I think my initial impression and my kind of final conclusion, because I've smelled this a few times, is that if you like the pumpkin spice, if you like pumpkin spice lattes, but you just don't want your house to smell like monstrous baking spices, especially if you're having guests and you know that certain people just don't, trust me, a lot of people, a large percentage of people don't like to be, they don't like scent, fragrance put upon them. This is just something that's going to hang out in the background. It's going to be a little essence of fall, pumpkin spice goodness. As far as the pumpkin itself, on cold I'm not getting that at all. And smelling the lid here, I'm getting some dairyness and some vanilla bean. And it's not this candle here. No, it's definitely not that candle here. Little bit of vanilla bean. So again, a very mild pumpkin spice latte, whipped cream, maybe a little bit of coconut, some dairy components, and maybe some vanilla flavoring. White pumpkin, and you know, I love white pumpkins. And if you get a little tiny white pumpkin to go next to this while burning it, great display piece. Because what's great about these tumblers is there's a lot of fingerprints on there, but they come with these really nice copper tops. I was gonna make an Energizer Bunny joke, but that's the wrong battery company. So glass tumbler, very nice. I think they retail for $16 plus on the website. If you're willing to find them at a bargain store, I've seen the prices as low as $7. And again, I was informed that these are all new for 2018. But who knows? Who knows? This one, to me, looking at it, I'm like, when I first saw it, I'm like, this looks like this could be a really great candle. Let me check in with you guys. Everyone's saying hello. I want to make sure I'm addressing everybody, but people watching this later, you know, I feel like it's dead air for them when they just see me reading comments. Okay. You guys are talking about the weather, you're talking about, I see crisp fall nights. Alright, let's keep this going. This one, autumn? I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess so. Bergamot amber. Now, amber is always a tough topic, right? May not seem like it, but amber, what is amber? There's no... What fragrance oil are you going to use if you're making an amber candle? Let me ask you. What do you use? You can't make fragrance oil out of amber, right? Amber is you know, dried resin. So usually amber is portrayed in the fragrance industry with a mixture of labdanum, I use that word from time to time. Labdanum and vanilla. I think vanilla is just probably the easier way to think about it. It's a very warm smell. It gives you that warmth, that heavy frequency notes that grounds the fragrance, where bergamots can be portrayed in several different ways. Bergamot is a part of the citrus family. Sometimes, if you buy bergamot essential oil, it's really, it smells like it's like lemon juice. It smells, you can't smell tartness, but it smells like it would be super sour. But then sometimes when you smell certain forms of bergamot, it's much more of a kind of a sophisticated cologne smell. And go figure, bergamot is used. It's like the classic. It's like the classic ingredient for both men and women's perfumes and colognes. And yeah, I mean, here's the thing. The bergamot definitely taking the back seat here. It's there and it's totally needed, but it's a much more zesty experience. A little bit of tartness, but this is zestiness. You know, you get that microplant, and you zest that citrus. And honestly, if it wasn't called bergamot amber, I wouldn't even be tempted to pinpoint it as bergamot. I mean, you could easily say lime. Now, certain fragrance oils, when candles are burned and the oils become airborne, shine. They become bigger, more present. Some stifle. I think a good example is baking spices. When you smell a candle like a spiced pumpkin fragrance cold, the baking spices sometimes, most of the time, mellow out. But things like citrus tend to really get bombastic. They get big, especially in the beginning. They tend to have, you know, they jump that starting gun, right? They're off on the races. Citrus shows itself first, but it doesn't have the longest. It doesn't have the longevity as something like the base notes. And in this case, the base note amber is coming off is soapy, very clean. So definitely labdanum, because labdanum is it's a floral aroma, and it is used in so many bath and body products. They're never going to advertise a soap or a shampoo labdanum, because no one knows what it is. But it's that ivory soap, a little bit powdery, very clean. It's like, you know, that higher quality hotel bar of white soap, the hand soap. You know what I mean? So to me, this is very clean. It's got a little bit, you know, again, it's creamy because of a little bit of that vanilla. This is a bathroom scent all the way. This reminds me, I just spent a night, actually several nights, in some inns, 2 N's, I-N-N, and this smells like that really clean inn experience. When you walk into that room, there's clean linens on that big, monstrous bed, and it's got like 15 layers of sheets and pillows and cushions. You have all those wonderful, clean, ivory soap bathroom smells in the bathroom. So if this would be a great relaxing scent for me, at least. I would burn this in my bedroom. I'd probably, most certainly, this is a bathroom candle for me. So this would be a go-to bathroom fragrance. As far as it evoking autumn in any way, this is an all year round scent. I mean, this to me is just as much spring as it could be autumn, but that is not to take anything away from this candle. And as far as intensity on cold, it's medium minus. Same thing with the white pumpkin. Again, so these are going to be 2 lingering candles. If you want power, if you want that punch in the face, these aren't going to be the candles that you're going to want to choose. These are going to be the ones that you want as accents, nuances in the background. So, Bergamot Amber by Colonial Candle. What are we saying here? A lot of talk amongst yourselves. I love this. But make sure you throw in these questions too. And then what you can do is, if you really want me to address your question, help me out and like put like at Aromatically Speaking, or put like Shane in bold letters, just to know that that comment is for me, if it's a question or a comment. Because I'm seeing a lot of hellos and highs and how's it going. And you guys seem to be talking amongst yourself, which is the beauty of these live shows. Now, those candles were sent to me a while ago, and in one of my lives, I opened a package, and one of the candles was smashed. So I reached out to Colonial Candle. I'm like, look, when I do my videos, because I will be highlighting these candles in edited videos, I do a lot of close-ups. I do a lot of what I call beauty shots. I really try to get in close with the macro lens on my camera to really make sure that you guys get all of the little details. Plus, it looks really pretty. And the candles that they sent, because one candle broke, a lot of the lids got scratched. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't hurt the candle, but I told them they weren't candle ready. So within 24 hours, they had a brand new set out to me. So that's a little testament to Colonial Candle. They were kind enough to do so. And the candle that broke was the one I was probably the most excited about. But this box here, I'm going to jump around a little bit. This is their newer collection. This is stuff that they have been sending out in the past couple weeks. The other candles were sent out to other YouTubers and Instagrammers and other social media folks a while ago, a long while ago. But these are the newer ones. Let's start with these two. Let's hope nothing is broken. Wow, and they're one is large. There's more in here, but I'm going to put this down here. And honestly, I have no idea what these are. They told me quickly the fragrances, the names of the candles. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so medium minus intensity on white pumpkin, bergamot amber. I'm already smelling massive apple on this. And guys, look, you saw me open that box. You see me taking this out. You know I have no indication of what this candle is. And here we go. Colonial spiced honey apple, and a completely different look. This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to have the same kind of labels. Can we see that? Again, the image is flipped. I apologize. I'm going to show you, and let's see if we can get... The lighting is really poor. Let's get maybe a little candlelight. Does that candlelight help? It doesn't help at all. This is the problem with doing unedited videos. You can't get nice close-ups. So on the label here, I see a dish with honey, and right there is one of those, what do we call those? Those honeycomb dippers. You know, it's got the little ridges. A friend of mine, we found mini ones, and we used them to, I guess it's not garnish because you don't eat it, but we put them into a cocktail that we made for a competition in Napa Valley. And the judges really like that touch. Not that that has any relevance, but I see some honey, I see some apple that looks a little bit oxidized. It's a sliced apple. And it's a spiced honey apple, so honey crisp, but maybe it's it looks like a honey crisp, so maybe honey crisp apple is what we're dealing with. But there's also some, down here, some pomegranate seeds. There's some up there too, but it's harder to see. And And let me see if there's anything else. That looks like it. So honey, apple, pomegranate, and like I said, before I even took this out of the bubble wrap, I was smelling massive apple. Let me put this candle off to the side. That's some pretty nice wick placement, right? We've seen a lot worse than that. These are all 14.5 ounces, and this is not a copper top. It's gold, and it's slightly brushed. It's a slightly brushed top. It's not as it's fingerprints, I apologize, but it's not that shiny top that we saw on the first two. Shane, I do have one question for you. Has there been any candles that you were ever excited for only to be disappointed by? I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna emphasize that word. I'm gonna put it in parentheses. Disappointed. I mean, look, guys. To me, candles are fun. This is not a when it comes to candles, there's no high drama involved. If I buy a candle without smelling it first, and I get it in the mail, for example, and I don't enjoy it, and it's not my cup of tea, you know, I'm used to that, guys. I can't tell you how many hundreds of dollars I've wasted when I had money on bottles of wine, and it happens all the time. You know, you get these wines. Robert Parker from Wine Spectator gives a wine 98 points. You get it, and you're like, wait a minute, this tastes like strawberry jam. Like, this is like strawberry jam might sound good to some of you folks, but I'm more of a European wine drinker, so his preference is far different from mine. So disappointed in that. Yeah, I've been disappointed, thinking like, oh, I wish they had taken it in this direction, because I thought this candle was going to be like this. I think a great example would be Blue Twilight Storm for Yankee Candle this year. I really like the fragrance of the candle. In fact, it's like I kind of nicknamed it Jim Morrison. It smells like it smells like rawhide and leather. It smells like incense. It's a total like rocking out to the doors kind of candle. But if you look at the label, it's got a pumpkin patch on it. Blue Twilight Storm, and then Riders of the Storm. That makes sense. Blue Twilight Storm, but I think where they confused people was they were showing that pumpkin. So to me, oh my God. But great question. Who asked that question? I want to give you a little shout out. I don't think I did, and I think it's too late because it has moved on. No, it was Tom. Thank you, Tom, for sharing that question. And Chris is saying Misty Mountains was one I was totally disappointed by. I expected a completely different experience. And Chris, I understand, but I do. I was expecting something else. And it reminded me of a U.S. fragrance from the year before, and I'm forgetting which one it was. I don't want to say loved. I personally liked the fragrance. But I think when you look at the image, I think a lot of people were, I don't know, I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm not a Lord of the Rings, I mean, I like Lord of the Rings, I've at least read The Hobbit, but I think a lot of people were hoping for something a little bit more, something that they could burn for Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings, and that's definitely not what that candle was. I think it reminded me of one of the National Park candles from 2017 spring. So massive, I mean, just massive bombastic apple. I mean, if you handed this candle to someone who doesn't often smell candles, they're gonna say apple, and that's it. Probably, most likely. But you got to dig a little bit deeper. So, and it's a big apple juice aroma. So, big difference between when you bite into a fresh apple and something like apple juice, right? Because apple juice has, the reason why it's golden is because it's oxidized, like Mott's apple juice, right? It's this color. Oxidation, just like wine, when oxygen comes in contact with that fruit, it alters the flavor profile. And so there's like a Macintosh floral skin that can't be denied, but really underneath that umbrella of that kind of fragrant, and be careful, I have to be careful when I use that word floral. It doesn't smell like flowers, but it's a very pretty, fragrant floral. If you haven't had a Macintosh apple before, you probably know what I mean. It's just a very, very pretty bouquet of like little blossoms. But underneath that, applesauce, Mott's apple juice, a little bit, just a little pinch of cinnamon in there. And again, remember, when you burn this candle, the baking spices typically mellow out. So if I'm saying it's a touch of cinnamon in here, when you burn this, at least, again, this is, just going to be from my experience, expect that cinnamon, that baking spice to, stifle a little bit. But what's good about that is that every now and then, you'd be like, whoa, I just smelled a little bit of cinnamon drifting by, right? So it's not always a bad thing. So it's not, when you have like those little nuances, they're not omnipresent. They're not always there. But sometimes you just get a little like, oh, cinnamon, oh, that's nice. So that's definitely what would probably happen in this situation. But definitely applesauce, man. Like, and this is not a bad thing at all. But when I first started doing aroma prison is when I melt wax in a mason jar. I couldn't find inexpensive mason jars, especially if I'm on the road and I need to do aroma prison. Like if I'm doing, I remember I was in Lake George and I needed to do an aroma prison video and I couldn't find a cheap mason jar. So what I bought was Gerber's baby food, apple. And I ate it. It's great. I'm serious. I wouldn't eat all of them. But the Gerber apple? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And but my point of that was trying to get that aroma out of that jar was nearly impossible. I mean, I soaked that thing in hot water and I could not get the smell of that apple outside of that glass jar. And it's kind of what I'm smelling here. So cooked down apple, a little bit of fresh apple, apple skin, apple core, apple seed. I'm sure there's a little bit of a wood component here to give you that illusion of the wooden stem or the apple orchard or the wooden apple crate or the apple basket. And maybe there's a high tinge smell, a little high tinge, a little tingle, right? If you want to call it effervescent, call it effervescent. That might remind you of some apple cider, but for the most part, we're looking at a lightly spiced, a little bit of wood candle with massive apple and different forms, and honey is right there in the title. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have addressed that. I wouldn't have called it. I'll be honest. I wouldn't have called honey. But now that it's being brought to my attention, again, I'm thinking about that jar of honey when it's almost empty and you're scraping the bottom of the glass and it's all crystallized. There's just that remnants of honey, but this isn't like raw honey. It's not that very distinguishable aroma. This is more like honey bear, honey, or even like honey teddygrams. Honey teddygrams. That's a good descriptor. I definitely like that one. So one more time, spiced honey apple. If you liked Honeycrisp apple cider from Yankee Candle last year, this might be a great option for you, because I found that candle really wasn't as complex as a lot of people were making it sound like it was. And complexity is not always necessary. Sometimes simplicity is where it's at. It's where it's at. You like my grammar? And in this case, if you just want straight up apple, and you're not looking for a cacophony, if you're not looking for a conglomeration of aromas, that might just be for you. I have a bag of Fuji apples. I'm going to practice making chocolate-covered apple pops today, so I know if they work for my Halloween party. So Laura, having a Halloween party, am I going to receive an invitation? I don't think I'll be able to make it, but that sounds delicious. Apple crumble. Guys, I just did a segment in, I don't want to ruin it for you because I'm so excited for all this stuff to be a surprise, but I was in the, I was in Massachusetts. I was in New England, and I stopped off at probably one of the better bakeries I've ever been in my life. And remember, I spent my time growing up walking around the corridors of the Culinary Institute of America, and I did a little segment with the owner of this bakery, and let me tell you, she makes cakes, she makes pies, she makes danishes, she makes cookies, she makes tarts, she makes all of these sweet treats. And some of this stuff, when you see it on camera, I got up really close. And I even had to do a taste test. And you think that'd be like, well, why is that a bad thing? Well, is Eric in the house? I like sugar. I like sweet. He always makes fun of me for my Cinnabon video. I took a bite of a Cinnabon for the first time on camera in one of my early videos. And this was a time I was eating, like, I was on a really, really strict diet, and I was running every day. I was in good shape. Nothing like now. I was in great shape. But even still, even now, if I have sugar, my energy level goes here. I seem to be a bit intoxicated. And then in a matter of moments, I'm down all the way here and I'm falling asleep. Eric just made a comment. Your mouth is moving, but lies are coming out, claiming you like sweets. He's convinced that I do not like sweet treats. But I do. Yeah, maybe he's right. I don't know. Sweets are just, I just feel like it's not something that I just don't feel like it should be done on a regular basis. It's like Thanksgiving dinner, right? You have Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving. So I pick and choose my moments, like when I'm at like Disneyland or something. Disneyland's dangerous because you gotta have a lot of energy for Disneyland. So if you eat one of those churros, oh boy. Woo, boy, look at this. Okay, so they sent me a larger format. It's, the diameter is smaller, as you can see. I don't know, what is that? That's about the width of a Polaroid. Was that 4 inches? Where this is going to be about 3 inches, but it's definitely taller. And it's going to be 2 wicks instead of 3. Same copper top, gold top, 2 wicks. We have this hazy blue, baby blue sky color, right? So hear me one more time. Hazy, gloomy sky, baby blue. So that's, in this lighting, I do have yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. But it is called Amber and Oud Wood. You're starting to see this word a lot now, aren't we? Oud. So it's a popular fragrance in, if we buy luxury candles. It's referenced all the time in European countries because they're familiar with this word. But a lot of people see this word, they're like, ode, is that a typo? Oud is, you know, it's wood. It's antiqued timber. So again, we're dealing with timber, wood, and amber, which is like a creamy vanilla, and a lot of people associate amber with wood too because of amber resin. And on the label here, we have some definite haziness in that forest. You see that? There is some fog action, but in the foreground, we have Autumn Phase 2. I'm saying Autumn Phase 2 because those aren't super vibrant multicolored leaves, maple leaves. No, they are maple leaves, but they seem to be more of the brownish color. So Autumn Phase 2, if you don't know what that is, that's what I refer to starting November 1st. Autumn Phase 1 begins late August, early September. Nicole says, Shane, I had the sour apple churro at Disneyland. And how was it, Nicole? Share it with everybody if you don't know what she's talking about. For Halloween, the Mickey's Halloween party, and just if you go during Halloween time, Disneyland, Disney World, they have different sweet treats. They kind of alter their sweet treats. Like they had like the golden crusted churro for Pirates of the Caribbean when the newest film came out. But for Halloween, they had, what was it called? It was the sour green apple churro. And for an extra $1, you get like this little cup of caramel sauce that you can dip it in. And to me, it's like you need that, right? Because when they say sour apple, I haven't tasted it, but my brother has, and some of the YouTubers that I watch that go to Disneyland have tasted it, and they're like, it's legit pretty sour. And Nicole is giving a vomit emoji face. No, Carol's giving a vomit emoji face. Where did it go? Nicole, Shane, I did the sour apple churro. How was it? How was it? YouTube scrambles up these comments on me. Starfruit, high five. No reference to what that means, Nikki. But yeah, starfruit, I'll high five starfruit any day. So yeah, sour apple churro with caramel sauce at Disneyland. You need that sweetness of the caramel to balance out the tartness, the sourness of that apple. Wow. Okay. See, this is love this. I love this. I don't think a lot of people would immediately jump on the bandwagon for this one, because there is some funkiness. There is some funk. Let me try to classify it. And because I have these furrow brows, don't take that as a bad thing. Trust me, I use the word funk all of the time when I'm evaluating wine. Let's face it, a lot of European wines, they taste like dirt. They taste like soil. And I don't think that it is an earthiness. I think it's just a combination of what's going on. There is a hazelnut component that, you know, provokes the idea of acorns. I've actually eaten raw acorns before, and it's not a pleasurable experience. They're very tannic, like that puckering, drying sensation. It's almost like you bit, like you just like poured some cinnamon in your mouth. It just sucks all the moisture out of your mouth. But whenever you smell hazelnut, or like maybe even like, I take that back. Maybe not hazelnut at all. Like Brazilian nut, and not just the nut itself, but like the actual cracked shells. Like Christmas time when you're sitting at the dining room table and the cheese plate has been devoured, and all the cold cuts and the salamis and the charcuterie plates are all done. You're just left with that bowl of the mixed nuts. And you're sitting there and everyone's cracking the shells. That's kind of what I'm smelling. I'm smelling not just the nuttiness of the nut, but the actual, the smell of the cracked shells. That makes sense, right? And that's not an exaggeration. It's funny how that's coming to me first. But anything from hazelnut to pecan to macadamia nut, and all raw, not roasted. These are not roasted nuts. These are not sugar-coated nuts. This is not like honey roasted nuts. These are not the little nuts that you buy in the city in little wax paper bags. This is a raw nut experience. And on top of that, baking spices. I mean, so autumn is in this candle in a very big way. The spices, I mean, come on, cinnamon, ginger. By default, I'm gonna say nutmeg, even though I'm not sure, but nutmeg always helps you give a little extra woodiness. Fresh ground nutmeg oil, gives you that lacquered wood smell. It doesn't sound like a pleasant thing, but if you're doing it, say like a fragrance that has a wood component to it, nutmeg can help add to the complexity to that. I don't get any clove. There might be clove in here. I feel like everyone's just by default using clove as a fragrance note. But no, I mean, I'm sure there's a woodiness here, but there is a woodiness here, but it's just not distinguishable. I mean, I can't. It's not going to be something like sandalwood. It's not going to be something like firewood. It's not going to be something like Home Depot. It's not. To me, this doesn't smell like an old furniture store. This doesn't smell like like an old house or a cottage. But there's undeniably something in there that reminds you of like a light oakiness. Okay, so, but really that's not what this candle is all about. This candle is about the nuttiness, the baking spices, and there's some apple, so like golden delicious apple. So not very tart, but very sweet apple, golden delicious apple. If anyone has the fragrance notes of these candles, please feel free to share them. That's a nice one. I do think some people, as soon as they smell that, they're probably gonna put it right back on the shelf. A lot of people, but if you spend some time with it and think about it, I think you might enjoy it. I don't know though, man. Okay, funky, not in an earthy way, but I'm gonna say it. It smells like raw pasta. If you've ever made pasta by hand, it kind of has that floury, raw pasta smell. It's not bad. It's very different. Very different experience. But different is good. And trust me, I don't want to be buying the same candles over and over again. So I'd rather have a candle that takes chances and is bold. And if that one is something, ooh, got stars on these. If that sounds like something that might intrigue you, go for it. I'd burn it. I probably will burn it. Gotta do something with it, right? All right. Okay, these are all Christmas. Should we do Christmas now or Christmas later? So whoever answers first, because I got more autumn candles. Let's save the Christmas for later. And if you're joining in and you're hanging out, please leave a comment. Join in on the conversation. There's no sense of being a lurker, hiding in the darkness, in the shadows. Come in, say hello, and make sure you hit that thumbs up button. It does help out. It's kind of hard to figure out how YouTube works, with their algorithms and stuff like that, but one thing that's certain is that thumbs up tells YouTube that the video is relevant and it's not clickbait. And I don't think this one's clickbait. This is a lot of packaging. So I think this is what they're saying. This is what they're trying to do to compensate for everything for that one candle that broke that one time. Holy moly. Pink bubble wrap? Alright. I smelled this one before. This one, yeah. This was one that I did really enjoy. So I smelled this one in the first shipment, and it's called Pumpkin Sugar. And I actually sent this out in a subscription box. I sent this one out because I enjoyed it that much. I'm trying to remember who it was. If whoever the subscription box, I see a couple subscription box members here, but if you receive this one in the mail, chime in. I do have a Candle Enthusiast subscription boxes in different sizes. We have a mini, we have the box, and then we have the subscription box deluxe, which is currently sold out. And for you folks waiting on your Halloween October subscription box, oh yeah, they're assembled. I'm putting together the newsletter. I always put a newsletter in with all my thoughts on all the fragrances and all the goodies. It's not just candles. It's little trinkets that I pick up on my travels. I put them in a subscription box, and I send it your way once a month. Patreon.com, if you're interested, look at all the options. But anyway, for those folks who are waiting for their Halloween subscription boxes, there's some great stuff. I'm actually almost just as excited about this Halloween box as I am about this year's Christmas box, because this year's the Christmas box is always, I always try to outdo myself, but this Halloween box is pretty spectacular. Okay, what is that? Wait a minute, wait a minute. Okay, allspice, and 5 spice. So, 5 spice, okay, well, first I'm going to tell you what it is. Sugared pumpkin, I showed you that. Okay, pumpkin sugar. Again, this is going back to the original 2. These were the collection that they sent me weeks ago. This is interesting. And the thing is, it's a little bit different than how I remember, so take that for what you will. Candles do have variances from candle to candle, from jar to jar to jar. And I'm getting, maybe I got it before, I just can't remember. Who did anyone get this? No one's, I think I knew who got this one. There's an extreme orange zest. Like, this is, I'm sorry to always be using cocktails as comparisons, especially those of you who are maybe not 21 yet, or haven't really, or those of you who don't drink, or you're not really too familiar with like pre-prohibition cocktail beverages. But this is like not old-fashioned, Manhattan cocktail. Because you get the essence, that you squeeze that orange zest, and you get that oil, that essential oil that just squirts out. Not essential oil, but orange essence. But also, you get that nice curly orange peel that's garnished on top. And if you have a great bartender, they'll even squeeze it and light a flame, and it'll throw a little ball of fire. Hopefully not too far, but so definitely orange, steeped spices of cinnamon, ginger, star anise, allspice, and 5 spice. So almost like we're talking chai spices here. So this is like a chai. This is not typical pumpkin spice here. I don't even know if I smell cinnamon, but I do smell a whole lot of sweetness. So what are they called? I used it as a description recently. When you dip, help me out guys, when you take like sugar, orange slices and you dip them into melted cane sugar, or you just brush them with kind of like a melted sugar concoction, and it kind of creates this candy crust on those oranges. It's kind of what this reminds me of. You get like a cane sugar sweetened orange juice, big orange zest, baking spices, but not the typical pumpkin pie spice. A little bit of graham cracker crust. I'm trying to look for like savory notes, but really this is a fruity, spicy experience. Very sweet. A little bit of bakery in there. I'm just trying to think of a good comparison. Not buttery. It's not salty. Maybe something in the lines of a cookie. You know. You know, it's not going to be overly savory. So, I haven't been mentioning the intensities. So, the amber node, that's man, that is weird in a good way. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I'm not just saying it. I'm intrigued, but let me put it out there. Like, before you order that online, you might want to smell that in person to see if you dig it. But that was a medium plus candle. This is a definite medium plus. If maybe we can do high minus if we want to do that. And if you're confused about my rating system, I usually say light minus, light plus, medium minus, medium plus, high minus, high plus. That's just how most sommeliers rate wine, so that's how I adopt it. I don't do like a 1 through 10 kind of thing. Yeah. I'm remembering why I like this one so much. So out of the bunch so far, this to me is the winner. Pumpkin sugar. I said I wasn't going to share my opinions, but for me personally, this is something I'd like to burn. The spices might bother me a little bit. I'll be honest. It's not just the baking spices, but that orange zest. You know, it's a shame because I love the smell, but you know, like those, like, you know, if you go back to the 80s and 90s, that Glade potpourri with the steeped oranges and the cinnamon stick and the star anise. When I was a kid, that stuff would kill me. It would kill me. I couldn't. I mean, especially if it was super potent, and I couldn't handle it. So a lot of candles that have those kinds of spices, I buy them, I smell them. Sometimes I leave them on my counter without the lid while I'm working. But I don't always burn them because sometimes it will just induce a headache. It's just one of the problems I have to live with. We got more candles, guys. We have 8 more Colonial candles. Can we deal with this? Can we deal with this? What is going on with foamy shrimp? What is this? I have to find out what this is in reference to. I'm gonna have to rewatch this live later to find out what that's all about. Has anyone here ever heard or know anything about a small candle company in Fredericksburg, Texas called E-Candles? Tom. Okay, Tom. Tom is, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I didn't see your full name, so it was hard for me to identify who you were. But Tom is, I hope you don't mind me saying this, is a current subscription box holder. And I remember you asking me about Circle E candles, and I did look them up. They look like very, very small production, so that's something that would have been, I haven't heard of them, but that would have been very hard for them to, for me to have found them. Because I usually find small batch candle companies through Instagram. So it usually takes small batch candle companies a couple of years to create a following big enough where people can start to browse and find them on Instagram. But I appreciate you throwing that out there. And I know we have a couple people in the house, including Angie Clementine, who's from Texas, so maybe she might know. But Texas is a big state. And she says, Tom, I live in Texas now. I'm not sure I've ever smelled a good bluebonnet scent. And my clothes smell like candles. Nice to have you in. Thank you for joining in. My clothes smell like candles. Tom, I have purchased a couple of Circle E candles, so there you go. There you go. It's a British sweet, Shane. Bluebonnet? Wait, what? Or foamy shrimp? Foamy shrimp sounds like it would be a British sweet. Apple pumpkin is always strong for me. Apple pumpkin, I'm sure Angie's referring to Yankee Candle's apple pumpkin. Yeah, it's crazy. I just I fully did not understand the popularity of that. If you are indeed talking about the Yankee Candle apple pumpkin, I was not familiar with the popularity of that candle. I really was not. But it seems like it's like an autumn favorite for so many. Okay, I just want to see if I can get some comments in. I used to love reading all of these, and I will go through all of these chat comments later on. But always remember, please come back once this video is uploaded. If you have a question that I'm not answering or that I missed, come back and leave a comment, because that also helps the performance of the video. All right. So I have the entire autumn collection from Colonial Candle here. So I don't know if everyone got all of them, other YouTubers, but they're I'm not sure what her position is, but the very fine lady that I've been dealing with, super kind. She's, you know, been accommodating, and again, like I said, just super sweet, which is nice because you don't always get that kind of reception or that kind of response from companies of this size. She said, which ones do you want? And I'm like, well, send me all of them. And then the second wave of autumn candles, she's like, well, I'd like you send you some of the other autumn candles and some Christmas candles. Which ones do you want? I'm like, we'll send all of them. Because I will be traveling around a lot, and I will be taking these candles around with me, and whenever I find something that is relevant, like this one right here, whiskey and cedarwood, when I visit the let's say a distillery, I don't want to promise, I'm trying to get away from promises, but if I visit a distillery this season, which is looking pretty good, guess what candle I'm going to bring? This is a great way for me to not just sit at a table and tell you what it smells like, but I can actually talk to the distiller, give it to the distiller, have them smell it, and get their opinion too, because they're the professionals. So this collection consisted of bergamot amber, which we talked about. We talked about white pumpkin. We talked about pumpkin sugar. And now we're going to dip into 4 more. Amber cashmere. So yet another amber. Amber cashmere. Again, you're not going to get an amber, or excuse me, you're not going to get a cashmere fragrance oil. Get something that smells like cashmere, but you know what I mean? Like you can't make fragrance oil out of cashmere. Remember that, folks. So when I say literal names versus fantasy names versus poetic names, this is going to fall into a poetic name because no such thing as amber fragrance oil, a real essential oil, or a cashmere oil. They're essentially going to be fragrances that provoke the idea of smelling those 2 ingredients. Amber cashmere. That's very nice. That's very nice. It's very soft. That's masculine in a non-brawny man kind of way. You know, this isn't, okay, so it's masculine, so let me do this. It's not, this isn't the smell of the cologne of the guy working out in the garage fixing the vehicle or fixing up the Harley. This is not the smell of the athlete, you know, kind of I'm trying to make it, I'm not trying to like stereotype people and make it sound like I'm making fun of people, because I'm not, but this is not like athlete Axe body spray. This isn't like a sports deodorant Axe body spray kind of smell. To me, I like it, you know. Can I do this? Is this politically correct? Can I say this is like a hipster artist kind of smell? This is like, you know, a dude in San Francisco rocking out some decent fashion. At least he must think it's decent. He's got, you know, he's got his hat, his fedora, he's got his leather satchel. Get a little bit of muskiness, a little bit of that cologne that's going to be made up of majority of citrus and soft blossom, so lavender and some tangerine zest and juice. Really, the contemporary men's colognes, it's amazing how much different. I have my whole, I showed you this before, I have generation to generation to generation, my collection of men's cologne. I gotta get perfumes too. I have men's cologne here, just for reference so I can smell them. It's kind of like a timeline. I showed you gray flannel, but how about this one? Halston, and there was 2 Halstons. There was 112, and what's the other one? Z14. This is not what it smells like. This, to me, is like, this falls into the 80s category. And it's kind of changed a little bit over the years, but yeah, when I smell this, I used to put this stuff on in elementary school. It was my dad's. I used to put it on. It's crazy. But that's not what I smell. Contemporary men's cologne, believe it or not, is not this overly, what I would call overly masculine, powerful, herbal, earthy smell. It's more of a floral citrus. And a lot of people might laugh at that, but go to a cologne store, a perfume shop. Talk to the professionals. Ask them what are the top selling colognes for young professional men, you know, ages 25 to 40, right? What's the aroma profile? They'll spell it out for you. They'll show you. It's really the majority of it's the orange blossoms, the citrus, and the lavender notes, and lots of vanillas. And so that cologne, that contemporary cologne, paints the portrait of that cashmere sweater. So does it smell like a sweater? Does it smell like a piece of fabric? No. Does it smell like clean clothes? Yeah. because you get a little bit of laundry room action. I think that's going to be the clean factor that's coming from the amber, right? Again, amber is a very clean bathroom, a laundry room, washroom, or inn or hotel, freshly clean linen smell. And who was it? It was, is it Taylor? I'm sorry if I'm getting his name right. Is it Taylor Conroy? He was, and still is, the social media gentleman, young guy, nice gentleman for Yankee Candle, and I guess Newell Brands now. And he introduced me to the name, the Boyfriend fragrance, and it took me a couple seconds, but I understood what he meant. Like this is like, you know, I could see how this could be like the smell of having. It sounds so sad when I say this, but it sounds like, you know, if you were a young lady, a young woman, and you're wishing there was a male company with you on an evening, this could be your boyfriend candle, because it smells like I said, like some artist living in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, San Francisco, little bit hipster. It's not a cologne heavy 80s, 70s smell, and it smells very clean too. And wood. So sandalwood. I thought about that before, but I didn't say it. So it definitely clean, fresh, non-antiqued wood, not Home Depot, but nice, fresh timber smell. Amber cashmere. Intensity, medium plus. Let's go with medium. I like that one. Even though I don't necessarily need a boyfriend candle, that's a fragrance that I might spray on myself. Even though I don't really wear colognes. But I do use fabric softeners. I'm experimenting with different fabric softeners because I like my clothes to smell really nice. All right, so again, these are autumn candles, and this is probably the one that's going to be the most left field. Autumn? Really? But hear me out, because I have smelled this one before. Jasmine musk. Now, jasmine, we could be familiar with jasmine in many different forms, whether it just be from the florist, whether we have it in our teas. Jasmine and perfumes and colognes all the time. So when we find it in candles, jasmine is usually one of those beach flowers. So a lot of beach candles, nautical candles, maritime candles, seaside, harbor candles, anything that's trying to provoke the feeling of being near the coast or a lagoon or something like that. Jasmine is usually in there at some capacity, but jasmine musk. Now, musk is a big topic, and it's not a topic that enough people talk about, and we would need hours to go over what is musk. If someone right now can type me a definitive, it's kind of redundant, a definitive definition of what musk is, not pulled from the dictionary, but if they can explain what musk is in a sentence, I will send you something for free if it's on point, because musk it's a big topic. Years and years ago, you know, the late 19th century and much earlier, but I think late 19th century, early 20th century is when they stopped actually using animal musk. The musk was extracted from the external glands of deers, muskrats. So they were actually, it was oil coming from animals, but it had this very distinct smell, and they used it to treat leather. they also would use a mixture of bark and resins to treat leather in certain areas, but musk was just a way to, you know, again, add a little bit of that elasticity, stop the leather from cracking, but also give it that smell. So it became such an association with leather that to this day, musk is still used on leather, like real leather coats, but it's artificial because you can't, there's no way, like you can't, it's, I don't know if it's illegal, but I'm sure PETA would not be happy if you were using real animal musk. But musk doesn't just end with the external glands of animals. Musk can come in many different forms. Musk usually these days are made from florals. So whenever you hear me say a leather musk, what I mean is it smells like leather, like a brand new leather coat, or a leather sofa. But you'll hear me say a lot of times floral musk, and what I mean by that is that it's not a strong pollen. It's not a sweet floral. It is, what is the word? What is the word? There is no synonym for musk. It's this very potent, powerful bass note, and I've even used the word fruit musk. Musk, not must with the T, musk with the K. A lot of people, I've heard candle associates in stores, I won't say who, but confuse those two things, must, T, and musk with the K. So, yes. And in this case, that is absolutely correct, because when we talk about perfumes, we talk about colognes, not just colognes, because you can see this is a woman's cologne right here, white musk. White musk is this by Jovan. This is a really pretty perfume. I don't know if anyone wears this, but I use this every so often to just, again, refresh my nose. Yeah, that's really pretty, and this is not expensive. But white musk is just an alternate word for musk derived from white blossoms, and definitely different from that because this is a strong jasmine aroma, very strong jasmine aroma, but it has that cologne perfume muskiness, that barbershop, that toilet water or aftershave. It has that fragrance industry powerhouse aroma. Little bit powdery. I think that's why I said barbershop. So powdery can be described as musky, like talcum powder, or even like Gold Bond or even baby powder can be described as musky. And speaking of baby powder, yeah, a little bit of Johnson & Johnson's in there. So, what's been really hot this year that I've noticed is mermaids and lagoons. Come on. You can't deny it. It's everywhere. Bath and Body Works did their whole mermaid thing. I'm seeing a lot of mermaid-themed accessories. Yankee Candle did do any mermaid things. And Hard Queen saying men wear too much cologne. Carol, Jovan Musk, remember that scent. Some guys use way too much cologne. Yeah, so aromatic fatigue. Let's address this real quick. In high school, I've said this before in a long video, a video that I made a long time ago, right? Come on, I think all of us at some point are guilty of this. So don't, whether you're a man or a woman, don't try to deny it. You want to buy a cologne, you want to buy a body spray, you want to buy a perfume. I know the girls it was really more middle school, when Bath and Body Works was really getting popular, not necessarily for the candles, but for the perfumes. I remember the big thing was the French vanilla body spray. Oh my God. So what happens is, whether it's the guys with the Axe body spray, or maybe they're using their father's cologne, the girls with their fruity body sprays, or that French vanilla. Man, that French vanilla just reminds, I could just name like 10 girls in like 8th grade who just douse themselves in that stuff. And every time I smell it, I just think of those girls, and some of them are still friends, so I don't want to call them out by names. But what happens is, in the morning you get out of the shower, you put some on, and you're like, ah, that's good. I smell it. It smells good. And then you get on the school bus, and you go to class and go to homeroom, and you're kind of like, it's starting to wear off. This stuff is not as good as I thought. So you go to the bathroom and you put a little bit more on. And then you go back to the class, and you're starting to get weird faces at this point. Like, people are looking at you like, what's going on with you? But an hour later, at the end of class, you're like, I think I need to put more on. So you go back and you put even more body spray on. And what's happening is, your nose is becoming accustomed. It's called aromatic fatigue. Your nose, biologically, our nose is meant to become accustomed to the smells around us. Our sense of smell, in part, is to warn us what's around us, whether it be food or danger or anything like that, right? But if we're around it long enough, we become accustomed to it. That's why smelly people sometimes don't know that they smell. And this is exactly what was happening. People would keep putting on this cologne, and then they'd become fatigued by it, and they put more on and more on, more on. But the problem is, the people smelling them, like walking by them in the hallway, smelling them for the first time, they've applied this cologne like 17 times already. So they smell like like they dumped the whole bottle on them. So a lot of the men who wear too much cologne, a lot of the women who wear too much perfume, at least in a lot of scenarios, I think that's what the case is. They just they can't smell it themselves. So they don't realize how potent it is. But getting back to this, the color that really, I don't want to say sea foam. I guess we can go sea foam, but teal sea foam, definitely a great Blue Lagoon candle, right? If you're you dig Blue Lagoon, Brooke Shields style, or if you're going to be watching Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's the only autumn thing I see about this candle. If you're going to be watching The Creature from the Black Lagoon this Halloween or autumn season, this would be a great candle to burn along for that, because it creates that I'm out in vegetation, slightly tropical grass, and maybe a little bit of kelp and seaweed and salty air, but mainly it's that musky jasmine that creates that sensory memory of being by the coast. I do like that one. I do like it a lot. Excuse me. I just don't see how where autumn comes in. But I really do like that one a lot. And the intensity, medium plus, high minus for sure. Okay, so these two I've never smelled. Got two more, and then we'll do the Christmas ones, and we'll do a little like Q&A. We'll chit chat for a while. But these are interesting ones. These are this one's really interesting, and this one's very appropriate for autumn. This one's called Whiskey and Cedarwood. This is the one that smashed on me. I know I have several friends who are distillers, and some of them, they distill anything from vodka to gin. Some of them make whiskey based spirits, and I spent a lot of time in not only distilleries, but a lot of people know me for being a wine person. I do. I have a degree in, well, I'm a certified sommelier, but that's not just wine, folks. I have a degree in beverages. That includes every beverages, including water, right? So I've had my fair share of tasting whiskeys, all different kinds of whiskeys, bourbons, scotches, from all around the world, and made in very different fashions, aged in many different fashions. So and cedarwood is not something you age whiskey in. So if this said whiskey and oak, okay, or whiskey and bourbon barrel, okay, but whiskey and cedarwood, this is interesting, because that makes me think that this might smell like the bar top, you know, maybe a little spilt whiskey on the bar top. You know, you got the jukebox playing in the background, you got a little bit of spilt whiskey, or, you know, if you're walking around that distillery in an old facility and you got that smell of the building and the whiskey aging in the barrels. So I haven't been showing the wig placement. There was only that one that was the 18 ounces. So this is a medium minus fragrance. It's not intense. I have a feeling this will resonate when it's airborne more. The intensity won't be strong, but you'll definitely perceive it. It will be. It won't be a soft linger. It will be something that is going to be omnipresent. I smell cedar. I smell cedar. I smell a good old-fashioned cedar floor, you know? I told you, I just got back from New England, and I was in a lot of old New England cottages. Trust me, I was, when you see my upcoming videos, you'll know what I mean by cottages. I was in some very, very old cottages, but also some older New England houses. I was in an inn that's over 150 years old. So I smell the cedar, but well, I'll tell you what I don't smell. I don't smell any booze. I don't smell anything that reminds me of bourbon, the beverage, the bourbon, alcohol. Nothing boozy. It's just a little sweet, you know, it's a little sweet. Which is probably for the best, because if this really did smell like whiskey, because some candles do go in that direction, and, you know, I don't know, some people might love it. It's not something that would be for me. I don't really want to burn a candle that's going to make my house smell like whiskey. But I will say this. This does remind me of, I once, well, I've been to old Quebec City quite a few times, but there was a really nice hotel that I stayed in, or a chateau that I stayed in, and, well, they call it a chateau anyway, and they just had all of these beautiful lounges, cigar lounges, leather furniture, exactly what you would think, leather furniture, coffee tables, even the books, even though the books probably never were read, the thick, ancient carpeting, chandeliers from the ceiling, very Sherlock Holmes. And to me, this is what this candle, it falls into that category. If you've smelled Kringle Candles Archives, this is kind of what it smells like. A little bit of a leatheriness, a little bit, but it's really Probably got that, sweet tobacco leaf. It's not smoky at all, and cedar wood. And there's some bright notes in here that could range anything from citrus to herbal. But I really can't. It's not distinguishable enough for me to go on a limb and venture to guess. I mean, I could sit here with it for a half hour and then come up with a conclusion, but I don't think you want me to do that. I think that what's most important to know is that if you are having some friends over, if you're having kind of a cigar and whiskey, bourbon, scotch party, yeah, I think this is a cool candle. I hate using the word man candles. I hate that. But if you are a guy and you're kind of trying to wiggle your way into finding something that you feel is appropriate for you, maybe get some go get some high quality cigars. Not that am I recommending you smoke tobacco? Maybe I shouldn't be doing that, but so whatever. Or if you just want to have a scotch party, burn this and let this set the tone, the mood. But just know that it's not going to smell. It doesn't smell like whiskey. It's a little bit sweet. There's probably something in there. A sweet floral that's kind of citrusy that gives it a little bit of brightness, but no whiskey. But it's a good Sherlock Holmes lounge study candle. But I mean, it's kind of weird when you have a candle called whiskey and cedarwood, but you can also call it, Belle's Library, as in Belle from Beauty and the Beast. You know what I mean? So whiskey, cedarwood, Belle's Library, it could go by either name. But definitely a cool, sophisticated candle for both men and women. But if you're a guy and you're on the fence about burning candles, maybe that's something you might want to give a shot. But this one is probably, at least the name, the most relevant to the collection, other than the pumpkins, I guess. We have this eggplant color and autumn spice. Autumn spice. We have autumn in the name, and we always deal with spices in autumn candles, usually. So this is going to be interesting to see how this goes. Let's see what we have down here. How are you guys doing? All right. Belle is my spiritual animal. Pretty color. I have a question about some candles you reviewed before, Shane. Is the 2 Halloween movie-themed candles from Washington Wicks, will they be available again? I'm trying to see if they sell out, or is it once it's gone, it's gone? Well, do we still have Nikki in the house, or did Nikki take off? Nikki's here. So Nikki, the candle maker, she produced. This is my Washington Wick section. One day, I promise you guys, I'll show you this side, but it's a disaster zone right now. So the candles that Tom is referring to it was The Boogeyman, which is a John Carpenter's 1978 the movie Halloween themed candles, and then The Night He Came Home. You see Michael Myers right there. These I was informed by Nikki that they did sell out. I don't know if she will be replenishing them for this season. And if anyone's wondering about which city wicks, I'll talk about that a little bit later on. So hang in for information about which city wicks. But as far as Washington wicks, I don't know. She might be sold out. She might be sold out. Again, she doesn't even classify herself as small batch. She classifies herself as micro batch. So that's like, I mean, that's as small as you get. So very intimate a production level. And when I say intimate, I mean it's like, you know, there's only so many that can be, you know, she can produce. I mean, it's a one-woman show. So has she responded? And she says, I'm here. Nikki says, I'm here. Again, Nikki is the candle maker and the owner of Washington Wicks, the 2 candles I just showed you. I may or may not release a few more. And she has a smiley face and a wink. So what I recommend, who asked the question? Tom, is that you find quickly her Etsy page, bookmark it, and over the course of the day, every day, you know, check in. During lunch break, check in. See if there's some more in stock. Before you go to sleep, see if there's more in stock. Because she may, like I said, she may or may not. Remember, she's got plenty of other candles that she has to sell too. It's not just those 2 candles. So just keep your eye on it. Be vigilant, and if you get them, you know, just know that that's you know, these kinds of candles are very scarce because of the quantities that are produced and the demand that they have. I mean, Nikki has, and everyone loves Nikki, and they want to get her candles as soon as possible. And Leslie is in the house too, right? And the same thing with Leslie. We're always interested to see the progressions, the steps forward. We have 2 women here, 2 incredible women that started their own candle companies, and they're doing it, you know. They weren't bluffing. They said they were going to do it. Most people say they're going to do it, give it a month, they give up, they stop. But we have someone like Nikki who sold out of those candles really quickly, and Leslie, who's, I'm still burning her Bela Lugosi candle. I'm still burning it. It's right there. It's right behind the skull, and it's not lit, but the Frankenstein is right behind there. But I can't wait to see her Silver Moon releases. So make sure you check out Leslie, Silver Moon. Leslie, make sure you link up your Instagram so people can follow you if they're not. I'm not sure if you have a Silver Moon Instagram page or not. Autumn Spice. Here we go. Last one for autumn, and my battery's dying. Whoa! Oh, this is not going to be easy. That's actually pretty easy. But yeah, okay, so much different spices than we were dealing with before, and exotic ones. Cardamom, coriander, cardamom, excuse me, cardamom. Whoa, up here. Some big blueberry and black fruit action. So black currant. And if you know, I always, you know, you can interchange these. They're technically not the same, but you can interchange them. But black currant and cassis, huckleberry. So that's going to be really the fruity side of this candle. It's kind of like spiced fruit. It's like a brandied cherry, right? Not really boozy, but imagine, you know, the brandied cherries that sometimes they'll dump into old-fashioned cocktails, where they just soak that cherry in brandy, but you can also add in the cardamom, the coriander, the star anise, and the more traditional spices like cinnamon, nutmeg. Although I'm not getting that at all. That's kind of what this is smelling like to me. Like, replace that brandied cherry. Let's go with cherry. You could say black cherry to simplify it. Think of black cherry, because I'm sure a lot of you folks are not eating black currants on a regular basis. But let's think of black cherry with some blackberry fruit that's been spiced up, and not only that, but it's soaked in that brandy and spice. This is awesome. I'm sorry, not supposed to be sharing my opinions. And there's a little bit of clove in there too. And you know what? I know what this is reminding me of now. It's more fruity. And it's funny, man. I really do believe candle companies, candle companies, again, Colonial, I'm not saying anything bad about you. I thank you for these candles. But I think candle companies look at what other candle companies are doing, and when they find something that they like, they feel comfortable kind of taking it and changing it around a little bit. This candle is a much more friendly, as far as the spices are concerned, a much more friendly version of Yankee Candle's Moonlight Harvest. Does anybody remember that candle? Moonlight Harvest. Let's see if I have it. Moonlight Harvest. Come on. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Oh, wait a minute. It's time for a good cleaning. It's in here. It's in there somewhere. I'm not gonna find it, but just Google that image, or Google Yankee Candle Moonlight Harvest. Just knocked over one of my lights. Super professional, right? It's like a public access television show right here. Moonlight Harvest. Google that by Yankee Candle. That was very clove heavy for a lot of people. But it was why I'm saying that Colonial may have drawn some inspiration from that candle is because that candle, the wax was this almost exact color, that eggplant color. I would just say that this one is less spicy, much more fruity, bramble fruit. So black cherry, brandy cherry, blackberry, cassis, blackcurrant, and different spices. This is not the cinnamon, this is not the nutmeg, this is not the ginger spice. This is going to be more of the exotic spices that we see. Is there any peppercorn here? No peppercorn, so different, very different. Not the spices I associate with autumn, but spices that my nose can tolerate. And this is a nice change of pace. I love that Moonlight Harvest candle by Yankee Candle, but I couldn't really burn it because it was way too clove heavy. Clove is one of those that I like the smell, but man, it kills my sinuses. And this one's not that bad. There's clove in there, but it's not that bad. So, and this is a solid medium plus fragrance right here. Let's check out. Yeah, the wick placement on all these candles seem to be near perfect. And that's going to conclude the autumn lineup. So we have everything from, I think the highest we went was medium plus to light. I don't, my opinions don't really matter, but for me, I'm gravitating towards that pumpkin sugar and that autumn spice now. It's the first time I'm smelling that, but all of them, there's not one that I did not enjoy. And let me just point out that this spiced apple honey, they sent me this because they knew I was going to an apple orchard. I am, several different occasions. I'm going to some apple orchards, and I'm going to bring it with me so I can have some apple folks from apple country smell it to let me know what they think. Uh-oh. I think they were supposed to send me one other one too, and they No, they did. It was the amber. So the other one was the amber and oud. Okay, okay. So, Colonial, thank you for. I mean, I demanded a lot, and you really have come through. I just gotta find. I gotta highlight all of these candles this season, but I mean, it's a good thing that I'm enjoying most of them. Let's start with this one, Balsam and Fir. So Balsam and Fir, we know Balsam and Cedar from Yankee and Candle. Balsam and Fir was the name of a Yankee Candle. It wasn't called Balsam and Fir, it's called Balsam Fir. But then there was a candle called Balsam and Fir later on. Whatever. But I think we can pretty much predict where this one is going. We have a Balsam and Fir tree. Long, very, look like very soft pine needles. Covered in snow, and then in the background there, that looks like, see my wall here? It's like that sun-bleached wood. That's kind of what is the backdrop of this label. So the balsam on top of the sun-bleached wood, covered in snow. We're doing Christmas, guys. We're doing Christmas, but why not? There's only 4 of them. And it's always fun to escape for Christmas for a little bit. And Horror Queen, I wish someone would make me a patchouli clove candle, nothing else in it, just patchouli and clove. It is the ultimate goth scent. Laura, I mean this with all my heart. What I think you should do is find a reputable essential oil, fragrance oil shop, or better yet, if there's a perfumer. There's a wonderful, wonderful perfumer in Salem, Massachusetts, someone who I befriended a couple years ago, but really I should have been introduced to her decades ago, or a decade ago. Aroma Sanctum in Aroma, let me type it out. Aroma Sanctum. Follow them on Instagram. Sanctum, I think that's right. Aroma Sanctum. Follow them on Instagram, but she's very sensitive to artificial oils, and she doesn't use alcohol to thin out her perfumes, but she is just a wealth of knowledge. And patchouli is such an in-depth topic because there's so many different, you know, forms that you can find patchouli in, and patchouli is usually an accord. I hate to be doing these lecture things for you guys, but accord means, again, it's a collection of things that's supposed to represent one thing. So if I took some lime essential oil, lime zest, some tangerine, I took some grapefruit, and I mixed it together, and I called it a citrus accord. It's kind of the same thing with patchouli, because patchouli, a lot of the times, it's not just the straight up patchouli. Patchouli is a part of the mint family, but a lot of the times there's other ingredients going on in patchouli to make it unique and specific. And somebody like, I'm forgetting her name at the moment, not because she's not a close friend, it's just she's got the hardest name to pronounce in the world. Akura. It's not hard to pronounce, it's just hard to remember. Akura from Aroma Sanctum. She would be able to show you a whole array of different patchouli accords, or just straight up patchouli, because patchouli could be anything from super smoky to super earthy to super herbal. So if patchouli really, and I know it has a, you know, it means a lot. It has a deep place in your heart. I recommend that you seek you know, do a little bit of research on your own, and then when you find out what you really like, then I don't know, maybe you can reach out to a candle maker for them to, you know, commission them to make you a candle. What I have to do real quick, guys, if you don't mind, the battery just died on my computer. Let me plug this in real quick. This is why I'm glad I'm not in the main channel right now. have to unplug. I'm the worst at leaving chargers and adapters in hotel rooms, and that's precisely what happened. So I needed to unplug my phone, plug in my computer. Let's start smelling some Christmas candles, balsam and fir. We got 41 people in the house, but 21 thumbs ups. What do you think, folks? Whoa, a wider spread of wicks, but they are tilted. Let me straighten them out. Yeah, baby. I dig it. I dig it. Just want to make sure I'm not smelling anything on my hands. This is interesting. I'm not gonna do it. This smells, if you are, I hate comparing candles to candles. I hate it, but for sake of time, it's gonna save us a lot of time. Yankee Candle's mistletoe. Dried out pine needles, spruce needles, balsam fir needles, dried out concentrated aroma. Smells nothing like Yankee Candle's mistletoe. Doesn't smell like mistletoe, and neither does this. But this smells like, you know what? This is what you can do. Adults only. Adults only. Set your oven or toaster oven to the lowest temperature possible. Lowest temperature possible. Go outside, pick up a few pine cones, wrap them in some tin foil, and put them in your oven or toaster oven. Again, only if your oven goes to like 150 degrees, 175, anything higher than 175, don't. And have your fire extinguisher on hand at all times. You won't need it if you do it at a low temperature. But if you do this, this is going to make your house smell like a Christmas. Gotta find a different synonym. Explosion. It's gonna turn your house into a Christmas miracle. It's gonna be a miracle on. I can't think of a joke. But my point is, there is inside the pine cone. The juniper berries won't be there anymore, but you will find the sap, the terpene, that white sticky stuff. If you get that stuff warm, it's really gonna start becoming aromatic. And when you open up that oven door, just a few pine cones, one or two will be enough. It's going to smell like this. Essentially, what it does is it concentrates that sweet sap pine cone smell. It's woody, but it also smells like, and I don't want to say this because it sounds bad, but like the dried out Christmas tree at the end of the season. The way I always try to describe it romantically, it's probably the 100th time I've said this now, is that when you have, you know, the Christmas decorations packed away, and then December comes around, and you're opening up all the cardboard boxes to put all your decorations up, and then you open up, you know, the box filled with all your ornaments, and inside that box there's a bunch of pine needles from the Christmas tree from the year before, and they're all dried out and brittle. That is what you smell when I say concentrated pine needle, pine sap, pine cone. Bingo bango. Not burnt, not smoky, so that's not what I mean by the oven. But if you pop that pine cone in the toaster oven or your oven, you'll get this smell, and trust me, it is amazing. If you really want to quickly make your house smell like Christmas in an instant, that's the way to do it. It might get a little bit smoky, a little bit. And And of course, when you're dealing with a thick, rich, resinous pine smell, pine naturally has a citrusy smell. I say it almost every evaluation when I talk about coniferous trees. Pine just smells a little bit like citrus, a little bit like lime, a little bit like lemon. But what candle companies do to enhance that is by actually adding a little bit of lemon or lime. And in this case, I feel like they've done that. They've added a little bit of kind of a sparkling lime fragrance. So think of like a lime flavored seltzer. There's a little bit of that effervescence, that tingling sensation. I said lime, but let me say lemon lime just to be safe. And there's a little bit of zestiness, but there's definitely that brightness from the citrus fruit. So, bam, 14.5 ounces Colonial Balsam and Fir. If you are that fan of that concentrated Christmas tree smell, if you like Yankee Candles, mistletoe, that is something that you might, no, you will. You probably will dig it, as long as it burns pretty good. It's pretty intense, medium plus all of the way on the intensity of that candle. Here we go. This one is giving me very little context. I didn't show you the tops. The tops of all these Christmas candles are chrome. They're aluminum lids, but they're a glossy, shiny chrome, and we have these embossed stars on all of these Christmas candles. This one is called Yuletide Carol, and on that label we have the piano keys. So it's like we're sitting down, someone's playing us some Christmas tunes, a little Christmas carol, and in the back, out of focus, we have a nice, out of focus, soft focus, those orbs of twinkle lights of yellow, green, red, and yellow stars floating about. And right there on top of the piano keys, right behind the word tide and Yuletide, there's a red ornament. Can you see that? But that doesn't really tell me what this candle is going to smell like. What is that? What is that? What is that? What is that? Red currants. Red currant cranberry, red fruits, very tart. Oh, there's more. Hold on. This is so fruity, but so unsweet, which I like, because I like really fruity wines, but I don't like sweet wines. And the more I'm starting to smell it, getting a little bit of like a fruit punch action. So a little bit of a melody of like pears and citrus. That's it. Okay. So red currant and pomelo. Pomelo. It's sometimes it's amazing how you're so familiar with something, and you smell it and you can't identify it. So pomelo is that monstrous looking grapefruit. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it just looks like a big grapefruit, and when you cut it open, there's like nothing inside. There's like so little fruit, but it is so aromatic. I mean, you can smell it really, honestly, from like 5 feet away. You're like, why am I smelling grapefruit right now? So this is definitely that mixture of red fruit, cranberry, winter berry, right? Winter berries don't smell like cranberries or red currant, but that's what they're going for, right? Let's face it. But you have that not so sweet citrus fruit, the zestiness and that fragrant exaggerated grapefruit or pomelo aroma. But some other fruits in there too, because again, I'm getting a little bit of like a Hawaiian punch. So I'm trying to think of like the ingredients of Hawaiian punch. So maybe some like Bing cherries. I said Bartlett pear, or I said pear because I found out that, do you know that in Sunny Delight, if you read the fruits, like the concentrated fruit juices that are in Sunny Delight, because is it just me? I mean, Sunny Delight, when I was growing up, I just thought it was just like fake orange juice. But there's actually fruit concentrates, so many different fruits, and one of those fruits is pear, and it's one of the top ingredients, which is surprising, but when you smell and taste it, it kind of makes sense. So it's a little bit of tree fruit. So apple, pear, some Bing tart cherries, but mainly pomelo, zesty, and that ruby red grapefruit juiciness, and red currant. And if you're not familiar with red currant, just think of cranberry. Yuletide carol. All right. Yeah, that's my kind of Christmas candle for me, because I can burn that all day, and that won't bother me, and I don't think that would bother anybody, any guest, unless they don't like grapefruit, and the intensity on that's pretty high. Medium, solid medium. Wait, can you let me throw in plum in there, like plum that when you bite into the plums, when they're not like red inside yet, they're still that like there's still that orange, not yellow orange, but that yellowish honey color. Red plums, they're not super ripe, they're very tart. Yeah, there. Just throw that in there. Okay, gotta tell you what this is. Cinnamon chai. Cinnamon chai. So chai masala is well, chai, just like curry, right? People think curry is one thing or chai is one thing. Chai is a combination of spices. Curry is a combination of spices and ingredients. Well, I guess chai is a combination of spices and ingredients as well. So cinnamon chai. So are they trying to say this is going to be a lot of spices, but the focus is going to be cinnamon? I don't know. On the cover, we have two hands like this. The person is wearing mittens. They have a red glove. It looks like they have a cup of chai. The beverage looks very milky. And there's 3 cinnamon sticks sticking out from that mug. And again, you got all that bedazzle from those stars. And the star on top. And then let's get those wicks. Good placement on the wicks. All right, that's it. I opened it for a second. I already got a lot of stuff to tell you. So yeah, I smell cinnamon, but I just got a little bit of maple syrup action. Some maple syrup brunch pancake Belgian waffle here. So we're dealing with spice and sweetness from the get-go. And I just had it open for a second. Gingerbread cookie. So it smells like a gingerbread cookie, but I mean, I guess it's supposed to be, if it's called cinnamon chai, it's supposed to be ground cinnamon. But that's actually, that is recalling memories from my past, because one of the fond memories I have, and I actually have it on a camcorder, my father's camcorder, of my brother and I and my mother making gingerbread cookies. I'll always remember that day. Definitely some frosting, or maybe not frosting, but let's call it icing. Actually, no, scrap all of that. We can call frosting icing, but let's call it cream cheese frosting. There's definitely that red velvet cake cream cheese frosting here. Which is strange, because a cinnamon chai, You know, this is not like heavy cream. This is definitely cakeish to me. And the emphasis on that cinnamon, I get it. I get it. It's not a big cinnamon, it's not a huge cinnamon experience, but what it is doing is it really does smell like ground cinnamon. What do I mean by that, right? Okay, we can smell a cinnamon stick. We can smell a food or an object or a beverage that has cinnamon in it. But we can also smell straight up cinnamon. Put some cinnamon in our hand, ground cinnamon, smell it, gets up in our nostrils, right? And that's the cinnamon experience. It's almost as if this is like a, you know, this is a very personal story for me. My grandmother passed away in 2006, and my aunt resides in the house where my grandmother lived for the majority of her life. It's this beautiful house, and I hadn't been there in years, and about 2 years ago I just needed to get away. I'm really going off on a tangent here, but this is, I want to show you how candles affect me and how fast this happens. About 2 years ago, I was going through a little bit of a rough patch. Nothing bad happened. It was just, you know, I just wasn't feeling the greatest, you know? Just in here, whether it be creatively or just, I needed a little bit of a break. So my aunt was on vacation. I asked her, if you know, can I just go? I haven't spent time in that house since I was a child. So I spent three days in essentially my aunt's house, but my grandmother's house. And I had noticed, my aunt, I don't think she'll mind. She's not a cook. She does not get in front of the stove very often. She makes awesome eggs, but other than that, she's not, you know, she's not like my grandmother. She doesn't spend a lot of time cooking. But when I was in the kitchen, I noticed, I opened one of the cabinets, and all of my grandmother's, again, she passed away in 2006. This was only about 2 years ago. All of her spices, the original, not like expensive stuff, but just like McCormick spice jars, canisters, all of her jars, they were still there. My aunt never took them out. She never threw them away. They just kind of sat there in that jar. And I'm like, you know, and my grandmother was always cooking, mainly cooking, but she would bake quite often. And I just went through all of those spices, and it was just the most emotional experience, because it's like, it's just, I think that's why, you know, baking spices are so important in candles, because there's just something about your family, food, especially baked goods, and childhood and holidays. It tugs at our heartstrings. It plants those very special memories and feelings in our hearts and minds. So I smelled all of those jars that were just, they were just so ancient. They were probably old by the time she passed away, but I mean, this was almost 10 years later. It was 10 years later. And my point being is that those spices were so expired. They were so old, but they still smelled wonderful. I mean, smelling them was such a joy. But when I smell this smells a little bit like a really old jar of ground cinnamon that's all the way in the back of your spice cabinet. You kind of forgot about it. Maybe it's been, we all have those spice jars. Come on, admit it. Unless you're Alton Brown or something. We all have that one jar of spice that's in the back. I still have a jar of cinnamon sugar I had when I was a child, somewhere around here in my office on display. I'm not much of a nut, but this smells like a very old cinnamon. And although that might sound like I'm putting this candle down, It's actually a really nice thing. It's just a concentrated, aged cinnamon aroma. So I thank you for letting me just kind of share that with you, because that was a really really unexpected, very emotional experience for me, actually being in her kitchen and finding her spices. But that's where this candle took me. It took me how many seconds for this candle to bring me right, not to just that moment of me smelling those spices, but for me being a child sitting in my grandmother's kitchen while she was baking and smelling those spices. It brought me right there. Thanksgiving, pumpkin pie all the way. This doesn't smell like pumpkin pie, but I guess you know what I mean. But slightly overbaked pie crust. Speaking of apple pie, you know, this isn't a chewy, doughy crust smell. This is one that's like, oops, I cooked it a little bit too long. There's a little bit of that in there. Or if you're making gingerbread cookies, and you've done the same thing, they're like, oh, they're a little bit too brown, they're a little bit too crunchy, or ginger snaps. In fact, this is reminding me a whole lot of frosty gingerbread from Yankee Candle this year. Not a whole lot, but I'm using a lot of the same descriptors. Overbaked in a good way. I'm using ginger snaps, I'm using ginger, I'm using ground cinnamon, and I'm using cream cheese frosting. Those are all descriptors. I haven't reviewed that Yankee Candle yet, but those are all descriptors that I found on frosty gingerbread. Let me read some of these comments. Leslie says, yes, Shane, I can understand how you feel. My grandmother taught me how to cook and bake, so that's where my love of fragrance came from. See what I mean? Go figure why a lot of candles are based off of food and sweet treats or baked goods. That's why candles mean so much to me. Of course, Leslie, I think we've had plenty of conversations about this, and I feel you all the way. And she also states, Leslie, this is why I'm creating my own now. Again, it's the one quote that I never quote myself, but the one time I'll kind of quote myself, because it came out of thin air one day, and I loved it so much. Even though the grammar is kind of bad, but I said that, aromas are forever bound to our memories. They help us relive the past, our past, and we can't ever forget that. And aroma is a part of every single second of every single moment of our day. And I hate to say it, I'm even guilty of it too. We take it for granted, people. We take it for granted. I highly suggest, we got one more candle to talk about, but I highly suggest that you literally, on a daily basis, stop to smell the roses. Because aromas, we have all of our senses, right? And they all accomplish many different things. And I think one thing that we take for granted is how aroma can really enhance our day emotionally, make us stronger, help us connect internally, help us connect with ourselves and kind of remind us who we are. And what I mean by that is to make sure that we're holding on to memories and holding on to experiences, so that if something happens yesterday or a year ago, we don't forget about it. Aromas are there to help us remember those special moments. Hold on to the good stuff. The bad stuff, learn from it, let it go. But always make sure you're holding on to the good stuff. And aroma, fragrance, it's the best way I know how to do that. And taking pictures too. Taking pictures is pretty cool. Laura says, no one taught me. We got one more candle left. I just to kind of where to go. No one taught me how to cook. I taught myself. I taught myself too. You know, I kind of learned a little bit from here and there from my grandmother and my dad. My dad's a very good cook, chef. If I called him a cook, he'd strangle me. He's a chef. When I got married a few years ago, Laura taught herself how to cook, but my grandmother did cook all of the time, so that's still nostalgic for me. Industrial Wastelands, Chris is here. Chris is I know you're a big fan. We were talking about Moonlight Harvest not too long ago, so I want to show you this real quick. Chris, I don't know if you're interested, but if you want a candle, this is from Colonial. It's apparently supposed to be new for 2018. You can get it on the website, or you can find it maybe at a reduced cost at a bargain shop. Either way, Colonial Candle Autumn Spice kind of smells like Yankee Candle's Moonlight Harvest. A little bit more gentle on the clove, bigger on the fruits. Well, Moonlight Harvest really didn't have a lot of fruit. It really didn't. It had some like apple. This Autumn Spice has significant fruitiness to it, like brandied cherry. Tom says my wife won't let me near the kitchen. I kind of get it, you know. I do. I really do. Like bathrooms and kitchens are very personal. Like they're territorial. If it's one thing if you have like roommates and you have like a communal kitchen, but I've never been married, and I've never had to like share because my kitchen is my kitchen, right? Like if you move my chef knife from here to there, I'm not going to be a happy camper. And just a little side note, if any of you are Dexter fans out there, you know, the show, Dexter Showtime, when he opens his drawer and he's got his chef knife, just like the one chef knife placed in the drawer, I do that. Is that silly? I don't think it's silly. It makes me laugh, and I like doing it. But like stuff like that, like I love customizing my kitchen exactly the way I want it. Plus, my coffee routine is so complex in the morning that everything needs to be exactly where it needs to be. Because when I'm making a cup of coffee, time is of the essence. It's a beautiful movie. Man, I really wish I could. Okay, Morgan says, thanks for sharing, Shane. I remember the cans of spices my mom used to have. Yeah, right? That's it's interesting. I recommend, if in your family, if there's any chance there's something like that in your family that might still exist, to get your hands on them. And Morgan, while you're here, Morgan, cruise bats. If you're not acquainted, well, she owns the oldest Yankee Candle I've ever seen. I can't say pictured, but I guess personally, or how do I say this? Whether it be people on Instagram, whether it be people just on the internet that I don't know, a personal collector or an owner of candles, Morgan owns the oldest Yankee Candle I have ever seen in my life. But if you check out my Instagram page, please go check it out, because I post Easter eggs all the time about what I'm doing. And you'll find out, if you do go to my Instagram account right now, what some of the upcoming travel videos are going to be all about. It's candle.enthusiast on Instagram. But anyway, I held yesterday the oldest Yankee Candle I've ever seen with my own eyes. The candle I was holding was the oldest Yankee Candle I've ever held in my own hands, and I pictured it. It wasn't as old as Morgan's, though. Morgan's is still older, but this one was mighty close. How old was it? About 37 years old, give or take. And guess what? It smelled amazing. I just said to my honey, I'll make it a priority this week, Laura. Okay, that's not for me. Shoot, now I want to make cookies, right? I think cocoa would smell like dirt, wood, a hint of Mexican sweet bread. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I like that. Cocoa? Where did that come from? Like Coco the movie? Laura says, I love cocoa. I don't know if you, I don't know what you guys reference to, but anyway, I'm gonna read all these comments later. I wish I could have somebody reading these comments to me out loud while I'm doing this. Cocoa candles, I like it. I agree wholeheartedly. Yes, Laura, but what floral? I have that one, haven't burned it yet. It says Industrial Wasteland. Autumn Spice or Harvest Moon? I get it confused because Kringle released one called, I mean, it's like the same exact picture, and it's just, it's rather Harvest Moon or Moonlight Harvest. So Yankee Candle is Moonlight Harvest, but then Kringle released a candle with this, almost the same label called Harvest Moonlight. I don't know. It's just too confusing. I don't have the memory for this stuff. Unfortunately, I can't stand the smell of eucalyptus, says Cruise Bats. At certain temperatures, because of bad auto accident I was in. Oh no. We crashed and rolled into a eucalyptus grove. That is very unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear about that. But also, that shows you how aromas can create associations, not just good but bad. It's like that song you listen to when you're with your high school sweetheart, and now you hear it on the radio and you're like, oh crap, now I feel like I'm in high school again. It happens to me all the time. Will you be trying the ribbon wick candles from Yankee Candle? So Brian, I saw that you asked this question last week, and I apologize because you asked it twice and I missed it. I did. I played with one yesterday at an actual Yankee Candle storefront, and I got great footage of it, and I got a lot of information on it. I was able to kind of determine how it burned. Did I say audio already? I got really good audio. It's silent. It is silent. You will not hear it. So it's not like woodwick, like crackle, or the ellipse jars from woodwick. It is very silent. And I saw one that had been burned all the way to the bottom. And there was a little bit of residue in the jar. That stuff doesn't bother me. A little bit of residue in the jar. But it burned evenly all the way down. And it smelled really good, and the surface area is so big. So I can't give you my full endorsement, but from what I experienced yesterday, the flame looks really cool. It really looks, trust me, when you see the footage, it looks different than the woodwick ellipse. It kind of has like these flames that look like tiny spikes. It's weird. As far as how far the aroma spreads, I would really need to buy one and test it for myself. But I definitely think for the price point, it's worth going out, pick your favorite scent, buy one, and try it. And please come back if you do so, and let us know your experience. And a great way to do this is go on Facebook and check out the Candle Enthusiast Facebook fan group. It's a great way to kind of not only communicate, not really with me. I mean, I'm there, I check in. I'm just one of you guys in that fan group, but it's really this group, what I call the bubble of positivity. Bubble of positivity, and it's family friendly. I mean, you can be 5 years old and feel welcome there. You can be, how do I say this the right way? You can be old man time, if you want, and be welcome there. It's all demographics, all different from all different countries. We talk about all different kinds of art forms. Everything is just super positive, wonderful, fun, exciting. Gets everybody into the spirits, but this is a great place to also document your candle trial and errors and stuff like that, and if you have any questions about burning. Because when it comes down to it, a lot of you guys know a lot more about candles than I do. So you want everyone's opinion, not mine. I'm seeing several people right here that way more about candles than I do. I still make the stroganoff when we have a cheap week. Stroganoff is awesome. I did used to do stroganoff when I had no money in college. Okay, I think I got everything. But see what Brian did? He tagged Aromatically Speaking. That really helps me out if you have a question. You see how he did that? It's highlighted in orange. So this way, it's much harder for me to miss it. We still got one candle, folks. Woo, boy. Vanilla bourbon. Vanilla bourbon. We have this eggnog. It's hard to tell. Eggnog colored wax. And let me take a look at the label real quick. Okay, so we have a bundle of cinnamon sticks wrapped together with a little piece of brown twine. And go figure, it looks like we do have two forms of some kind of beverage that could be vanilla, but certainly looks like eggnog to me, with two cinnamon sticks sticking out of each. The glasses are rimmed with ground cinnamon. Vanilla bourbon. What kind of drink would that be? Like vanilla extract, vanilla liqueur, with a little dash of bourbon, with some eggnog. I'm kind of digging this now. Maybe this is something I want to make. But yeah, these two beverages. It's in a pair. So they certainly do look like cocktails. As beverage hour, bourbon's in the title, and that's about it. They're in rocks glasses, so definitely cocktail hour. Okay, so this one smells a little bit more like bourbon. It's not, again, not alcohol. And it's not like someone was out drinking bourbon or whiskey at the bar and you smell their bad breath, or you smell their clothes, or the smell of bourbon's permeating through their skin. Because I think that's what a lot of people think. And no. This is like a nice little dash of really nice sour mash, some bourbon, but I don't want to make it exclusive to that. Some form of whiskey-based spirit, but definitely in the background. Definitely something that most people probably wouldn't notice if it wasn't in the title. Big time vanilla milk. Like grade school, there was chocolate milk, there was strawberry milk, there was skim milk, there was whole milk. But I remember in college, you had a vending machine of like Nesquik vanilla. I mean, I don't even know if it was real milk, but it would come in like the bottle. And like sometimes I hated in college. I hated to go eat in like the common areas. So that's where my brain was. The amount of nutrition knowledge I had in college. I thought, oh, I'll just drink this thing of milk that's loaded with sugar, and it'll be like a meal replacement. But that's kind of what this is reminding me of. It's reminding me of kind of like not a white chocolate like hot cocoa, but a vanilla flavored milky beverage. So let's go with that Nesquik vanilla beverage. That's gonna kill me. There's some form of cologne in there. something that's reminding me of cologne, and I just, you know what it is? The cinnamon is way in the background, by the way. And remember what I said, cinnamon, from my experience, typically is something that's going to mellow out once it's burned, which is not bad, but it's not going to be always present when you're burning it. So, well, but cinnamon, well, there's a lot of cinnamon on the label, but cinnamon's not in the title. It's a woodiness. I think so. Okay, so you get a little bit of that sour mash, Kentucky bourbon, a little bit of I won't say Kentucky bourbon, but let's say a little bit of like a Jack Daniel's, like just a little dash, a little sprinkle, right? Not even an ounce, a tiny little dash, barely there. Jim Beam, Jack Daniel's, if we want to go there. But that's kind of what it's reminding me of, that aroma profile. But I think to enhance that bourbon experience, there is a sandalwood. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go on a limb, and I hope there's fragrance notes somewhere, and I hope that someone looks it up, and maybe I'm right. But there's seems to be like a mixture of cedarwood and sandalwood. Man, it would be so cool if I'm right. Cedarwood and sandalwood, because the sandalwood gives you that cologne woodiness, but the cedarwood, even though I've never had a whiskey aged in cedar before, I don't know if that would be a good thing, but that cedarwood kind of gives you this fireplace, firewood, or like cedar furniture aroma. And you can take that as oak if you want, oak, because bourbon's going to be aged in an American oak or French oak, depending on, or I guess other whiskeys are aged in other oaks, Hungarian oak. I'm sure some people are aging some bourbons in that. But I think that's what it is. I think you have like that rustic cottage cedar wood with that kind of extravagant cologne-like woodiness. How look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 candles in 200 minutes. Wow. If you've been here from the beginning, you are a hardcore fan. But I hope this, whether you're watching this later and you're fast forwarding through it, that this provides at least enough information for you. If you're interested in Colonial Candle, if you're shopping and you come across Colonial Candle or any of the other names that they go by, and you just want like kind of like a brief explanation of how I interpret the smells, that this is a helpful tool for you. Or if, you're just kicked back on a Sunday, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Again, that window, outside there, that's magic and fantasy. Outside that window is the real world. But I hope this was, somehow relaxing. I hope you enjoyed a cup of Joe. I will take a few questions. Since we're already approaching that 200-minute mark, and look at this. Laura says, Shane, you were on fire today. Thank you so much. Really. It really makes me feel like sometimes I wish I could have a team of a multi-camera shoot where, because my edited videos, they're multi-cameras, right? There's different camera setups. So I can do close-ups. I can, get the, close-up of me, the close-up of the candle, but also the master shot. But I have to spend time editing all that and fixing the audio and doing color correction and stuff like that. But I feel like I could do hundreds of candles if I could do this in this fashion. The problem is with one camera, like that's not good enough for me. It's reversed. First of all, it's reversed, it's not good enough for me. I want you guys to really get into, I want you guys to have a little bit of that, have the context behind the candle. And I also want to help, whenever I talk about a candle, like when I did like Washington Wicks, Nikki's candles, you know, I work hard to try to set the tone so you're in the right state of mind to hear what I have to say about those candles. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame that I can't do, because at this pace, I could just keep doing this all day. And I don't even feel like my nose is fatigued at all. 20 minutes till I'm at the beach, says Laura. Laura. I'm never going to get that right. Love hearing about candle companies I've never purchased from. Yeah, Colonial Candle is a company that I have never purchased. I never purchased. But then again, it's not because of anything bad about them. I definitely do think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they've upped their game. I think they're trying, especially now that they're coming in the 3-wick cylindrical vessels. You know, they're trying to fit in with the White Barn, Bath and Body Works, and even in some cases, many cases, like the nostalgia aspect, dip into the Yankee Candle a little bit. So good for them. And if you didn't see my video on their Halloween collection, check these out. Now, they put a Halloween collection out. Sorry for just kind of flashing my butt for a couple seconds. But they had the Cobweb collection. I did a full video on this. It was really long, and it was really in-depth, but I had at it. I just really had at it. They have, there was one called Graveyard Fog. Look at the little ghost and ghoulies. Can you see that in the pattern? The ghost and ghoulies. Graveyard Fog, which is a black licorice candle, to be very simplistic about it, but there's a lot of other added nuances and complexities to that candle. Like, you know, to me it smells like a high quality root beer float with maybe garnished with some black licorice. It's a really interesting candle. I still haven't burned it, but I know Chris, Industrial Wasteland, has burned it. And I'm looking at his comment right now. Last day for Burke and Hare Halloween. Burke and Hare and I did not collaborate this year. I did a video last year. Erica from Burke and Hare, wonderful. I hope I could say that we have we're good acquaintances and we're very friendly with each other, but you know, there's just only so many, and I feel like Burke and Hare really doesn't need the promotion. A lot of people know about them now. So I really want to make sure that I'm highlighting candle companies that need the promotion, and Washington Wicks is a perfect example of that. You know, I was so happy to do what I can to help the up and coming candle companies. The other part of the candle Halloween candle Cobweb collection from Colonial Candle was Jack-o'-lantern, which is just this. A lot of people might think this is just like you've took every autumn sweet treat pumpkin and baking spice oil off the rack and just dumped it in this candle. But for me, oh yeah, and there's some legit pumpkin, like raw pumpkin in here too. These were both highly successful for me. Which is odd is that a lot of people seem to, except for the people who don't like black licorice, really go all out on this one. I mean, this is comparable to me, very comparable to Yankee Candle's Happy Halloween that's now retired. It does have other, to me, it definitely has that orange zest, and it has this weird fragrance note of like basil. Like, not that, like, I think that's a bad thing, but who came up with that? Ooh. Oh, so strong. But yeah, very comparable to Yankee Candle's Halloween. A little bit different, a little bit different. But jack-o'-lantern is everything from cinnamon bun, Cinnabon, TJ cinnamons, to raw pumpkin, baking spices, pumpkin pie. These were also sent to me for PR purposes. I just want to put that out there, but I also wanted to show you guys. All right, so that's it. So now that brings us to how many then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, is it 14 or 13? 15 or 16 Colonial candles today. So Colonial, if you are watching, I hope you enjoyed just my honest initial impressions. Most of these, just about all of them, was the first time I smelled them. And this is not my in-depth evaluations. I'm gonna try to just take these around with me and interview people as I travel, get their opinions on them, instead of me just doing my thing. Because a lot of people think that, you know, you get a free candle in the mail from a company, you're not going to give an honest review. I get that. That's the same thing in any industry. It's something new. So if you're hearing any of that stuff elsewhere in the YouTube world, just come on. Candles are fun, guys. They're meant to make us feel good and happy and bring a little bit of joy into our, in some cases, mundane lives. You know, sometimes life's, you know, our day-to-day life can be just so taxing on our body. Why do we want to take the one thing that makes us happy and ruin it? So hashtag support positivity. Please don't fuel the fire. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right, so let's have some, any questions, please throw some questions at me. We're gonna go to, oh wow, we're close to 200 minutes. I was reading it wrong. But I will hang around for a couple more minutes for, if you guys have any questions. And remember to hit that thumbs up button if you're still watching. Candle drama, talk about first world problems. Yeah, it goes in one ear and it goes out the other. For me, that's my take. Sometimes I really don't understand. It's like, where are the people like me? You would think that, you know, if you're devoting so much time on YouTube to talk about candles, you'd be doing it because you really like them, not because you want to complain. Aromatically speaking, Laura Harqueen is asking, what are my Halloween plans? You know, Laura, I don't know. I really don't know. I know this sounds kind of obvious, but it depends on where I am. There's several things I'm looking at as far as like Halloween parties on Halloween nights in different locations. Ideally, I probably would like to spend the night with my family. I would love to see my brother and sister-in-law and their brand new puppy come home, and we can all meet up and have our Halloween bonfire with my parents, chill out, eat some good food, drink some apple cider, hand out candy to the trick-or-treaters. But outside of Halloween nights, man, I am all over the place, Laura, all over the place. What's the price point on the Colonial candles compared to Yankee candles? I believe all of these Colonial candles, and I'm glad I'm not certain. I think they're $16.50 on the website. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong and they know, if they know better. But as I said, Leslie, I think this video is going to start getting some thumbs downs. I see we already have one. Maybe that's because they don't like me, but there's just been people who are a bit bitter of, I don't think people are used to PR in the candle industry because there's never been a reason for it. But YouTube is this burgeoning thing now where you're having a lot of candle personalities popping up on YouTube talking about candles, not just on YouTube but on Instagram. So a lot of people are receiving free candles in the mail, and I think it's just causing a disaster. I don't blame anybody. I don't agree with a lot of things that people have said, but at the end of the day, it always goes back to the same thing. These candles are supposed to make us happy. They're not supposed to add stress into our lives. And going back on that, Leslie, one of the things I think Colonial has been, a little bit of flame has been thrown in their direction because under I don't want to say an alias, but a pseudonym, under an alternate name, is a Candle Luxe. Some of these fragrances will appear at TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and they're like $7. They're like half the price. But my opinion still stands about these bargain places. TJ Maxx, Marshalls, yes, if you find a great candle, I buy from them all the time. I think it's a fantastic way to get a bunch of fragrances at a cheap cost, or an really affordable cost. But at the same time, remember, they're there for a reason. They're not there just because TJ Maxx can afford to sell them for a cheaper price. Those candles were selected for some reason, at some point of the process, were selected to go to those bargain shops. Remember that, okay? I mean, of course there are exceptions. There are exceptions. And I don't want to get into that because I don't know how it works. But like I'm saying, I always try to compare candles and wine. If I want to buy a bottle of wine and I'm really looking forward to it, I want to buy it straight from the winery. I want to get it right from the winery, right? If that bottle of wine has to be purchased by a wine broker, and that broker then makes a deal with a distributor, and then now that distributor distributes the wines to different locations of different wine shops, and then I come in and buy that bottle off the shelf, that bottle of wine has gone on a much larger journey. And bottles of wine and candles are perishable products. They're very sensitive to light, to heat, to humidity. So I always feel safer. I always feel a little bit more comfortable spending a couple extra dollars knowing that this is coming straight from manufacturing to my hands compared to here, because you don't know. It could have been in storage for 6 months. For example, I'll pick a different industry. Starbucks. If you buy a bag of Starbucks whole bean coffee in the grocery store, keep in mind, whole bean, when you roast a coffee bean, you have about 2 to 3 weeks, give or take, to grind it for perfection, right? 2 to 3 weeks, no more than that. If you buy whole bean Starbucks coffee at the grocery store, even though it's whole bean, those beans were probably roasted 6 months prior. It takes time for that bag of beans to get to where it's supposed to be, because if you notice on the bag, not to pick on Starbucks or Pete's Coffee or any other coffee company, there's a date on there that says best consumed by, and there's a date. It should say the date that the bean was roasted, but they can't do that, obviously, because a lot of time has passed. So when it comes to Marshall's, Home Goods and all that stuff, again, yes, I shop, I stock up A lot of my Halloween collectible candles that I never plan on burning, I buy it all up at TJ Maxx, right? Because they're for display purposes, they're for collectible purposes. But if there's a candle and I really want it to perform to its maximum potential, I'd rather spend a few extra dollars and get it right from the source. Is that okay? Can I say that? Can I say that? Everyday Lux, thank you. That's the other name, the pseudonym name for Colonial candle. The secondary, it's not a secondary label, it's just an alternate name of the candle. I just don't know what the story is. And they're supposed to be, because the people the candles that they send out, they're supposed to be brand new. So I don't know. Laura says, oh my god, Chewy is so precious. Chewy is my brother's new puppy. I love to see trick-or-treaters, says Morgan. I do too. I love kind of vicariously living through the children as they run through the streets on Halloween night, as long as they're being safe. I can't wait to go trick-or-treating. Oh, see, Nicole, Nicole's got Bryce, her little boy, so she can actually go trick-or-treating. It's like, you're like, oh man, I gotta go trick-or-treating. I gotta take my son out trick-or-treating. But you know how lucky you are. You actually get to go out. I don't have any like nieces or nephews. I don't have any children. I can't take anyone out trick-or-treating. And if I did, people would be asking questions. Be like, whose child are you with? Wish you could come trick-or-treating at my house. We're gonna have a blast scaring people. That sounds awesome. Laura, I wish I could be there. I can't wait to carve pumpkins and smell its burning flesh when I put a candle in it, says Nikki. I love the way she worded that. My hubby is building our graveyard fence from free fence scrap we got from the other night. All right, so a little bit of front yard, or at least property decoration. Laura made her own tombstones with some horror film icons like Wes Craven. I remember Wes Craven was one of them. There was some others that I saw that you were making. Can't wait to see it all finished, Laura says. Nicole, people need to get a grip. Tired of negative feedback on PR. To me, it helps all of us know what other candles offer without us having to buy them all first. Yeah, so again, Leslie, I hear you. I'm probably going to be saying this a lot from now on. I don't review candles. I don't review candles. I don't do it. Have you ever heard me say, this candle is terrible? This candle is no good. This candle is a failure. You've never heard me say that. You may, from time to time, at the end of my evaluation, I'll probably finish up with saying, like, you know what, this is one I can't wait to burn. Because at the end, I feel free to kind of share my opinion. But I don't review candles. That's not what I do. I'm trying to describe to you what it smells like. That's all I try to do. And I try to be as honest about it as possible. But my opinion does not matter, one way or the other. So candle companies, you can send me all the candles you want, but you're not going to get a review from me, right? I'm just going to tell you what I smell. And it's going to be up to the viewers, you guys, to determine whether or not you think you'd like that candle. That's the way I go about it. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it always will be. On these lives, I might share a little bit more of my opinions because it's a dialogue between the two of us. Read a few more, and I got a couple things to say. I think the front yard will be the graveyard this year, and yes, we dig up the yard to do it. Oh wow. Uda's in the house. Has anyone seen the Halloween movie yet? It starts in Germany the 25th of October. Well, it premieres on the 19th of October here in the US, but people from PR, reviewers in the US have received screenings of the film. So there's reviews of the film already. Again, same concept. They get the film in advance so they can watch it and share their opinions with the folks. It's not just the candle industry, people. And it's just, you know, like, I don't know. People ask me, like, am I excited for it? I'm excited because it's fun, but I mean, it's just, let's face it, like, it's, you can't make a sequel to Citizen Kane. You just can't do it. And I'm not comparing Halloween to Citizen Kane, but Halloween is just, it's so perfect in so many ways, and a lot of those ways, in my mind, were accidental, and not to take anything away from John Carpenter, but Halloween will always, the original film will always stand on its own as not only a great horror film, in my opinion, but I think it's just a fantastic film in general. Forgetting about the genre, it's a fantastic film. And if you're confusing it with Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, not that I'm putting those movies down, but that's a slasher, that's the slasher subgenre of horror. The original Halloween is a beautifully made movie. John Carpenter was a big John Ford, Howard Hawks fan. There's two very famous American directors who used cinescope, right? So the aspect ratio of Halloween was this really, you know, like when you watched it on VHS and you got the letterbox, the image was so small on the screen because it's such a wide film. Now with our televisions being wide, it's not so bad, but it's a beautiful movie to look at. And with all of that horizontal space, it's just such a piece of art in my mind. Shane, you could trick or treat here. I give everyone candy, no kids needed. That's awesome. Call me crazy, I don't like any Halloween films after part 3. That's not crazy, Tom. I think they should have done what Carpenter wanted to do, simply make the movie each year based on different holiday. I don't even think that was Carpenter's idea, Tom. That was Tommy Wallace, the producer, his idea was to make every Halloween film kind of like a Tales from the Crypt, or like American Horror Stories now, where every film would be a different story. And the first film was, the original name of Halloween was Babysitter Killer. Terrible name, but it became Halloween, and the investors, there was just so much control back over the film. There's a lot of producers involved, Deborah Hill, but then the investors and the executives had such control over what they were doing. John Carpenter had no interest in Halloween 2. And don't take my word for it. Listen to him say it. He said he wrote the screenplay, he needed the money, and he said he wrote it, the whole screenplay, drunk on Budweiser beer. He just had to punch it out. And if it was up to him, he said the end of the story was the end of the first film. That's it. Michael is gone. Evil is gone. The question has been proposed. What is evil? Done. End of story. No need to continue. But I won't lie. Halloween 2 was a large part of my childhood, but it was a different thing. It is not, you cannot compare Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. Two completely different genres. And Halloween 2 is fun. It's a slasher film. It's just synonymous. The music is even really good. Halloween 3, I think, is underrated. The Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Michael Myers. Halloween 4 is fun. It's fun. But that's it. And then everything else, I don't know. Come on. I mean, like, enough is enough. I mean, it almost hurts my feelings to watch Donald Pleasance, this amazing talent, to see him in these, you know, his last film, he passed away during the production, was Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. You know, they're fun to watch. They're fun to watch on TV. But Halloween, the original, just like The Exorcist, it's a horror film. Halloween is a horror film. But taking away their genre, Halloween and The Exorcist, I believe more so, is, you know, just a perfect film. Perfect's probably not the best word. I mean, near perfect. Just say near perfect. Reading all your comments here. I actually have an original London newspaper from 1888 with articles on Jack the Ripper's slayings. That's incredible. As Indiana Jones would say, that belongs in a museum. But if you own them, that's pretty awesome. And yes, you definitely should share that in the Facebook group, Tom. But make sure you watermark it so no one steals it on you. I also have first printings of Edgar Allan Poe, who is my favorite author. First printings. That's insane. If that is true, and I do believe you, Tom, that is incredible. I actually had the privilege to see, not touch, but see one of the first, because it was printed in article forms, but one of the first printings of A Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and several of Washington Irving's books, and it's something else. It really is crazy. Think about it. If you really try to comprehend how old some of this work is. Can I get a close-up at your mug, Shane? My mug. This one right here. So this is my, there's a little bit of melted wax on it. You might pick that up, but this is it's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown mug. This shaped mug, I don't have a name for it. I don't know if there is a name for it, but this is my preferred shape for coffee drinking. I don't like the feel of it in my hands, and it's the Great Pumpkin, but I find that because we have a small radius, and they're usually really thick ceramic, ceramic, or some form of plaster. They hold the heat and keep the coffee insulated. I mean, it's been how many hours now? Well, it's ice cold, but still. But inside, there's, can you see that, little stars in there as well? Yeah, I love this one. I have a whole Halloween shelf, and I need to start breaking them out for these lives, because we're running out of time here, right? Alright guys, any questions? Come on, throw out a crazy question. And then, while I'm doing that, I want to point out a few things that I do every week. Patreon.com. What is it? What is it for? And why am I asking for money? I was just gone for 4 days. 4 days, which included 3 very expensive rooms, because everything this time of the year in New England is expensive, even inexpensive motels. But I visited some amazing places, and I captured some amazing footage. It's going to take me a little bit of time to edit, but man, is it going to be worth it. It's going to be a great, this season is coming off to a great start. I rarely say a road trip goes perfectly. This road trip exceeded my expectations. So here's the deal. You might be asking, well, how do you do this, Shane? How do you travel? Well, the show. And people ask me when I'm out filming, they're like, how do you do this? Like who's paying for you to do this? I'm like, the show is self-funded. It's like PBS. So if you want to support the channel, if you're in a position where you can support the channel, it's just so crucial. It's just so crucial at this point, because the more we have, the more funding we have, the more we can do. And trust me, it's all relative, right? The more I produce, the more credibility I have, which means more companies and more amusement parks and more museums and more inns and more companies are willing to welcome me. They're like, oh, well, this person's legit because he's worked with them, he's worked with them, he's worked with them. It's amazing. Now that I can like start dropping names, I'm like, oh yeah, I worked with them, I worked with them, I worked with them. Where people are starting to say, yeah, you know what, why don't you come over and film a little segment with us? So a part of this whole growth process for the candle enthusiast, mainly Aromatic Adventures, the traveling, is it's not, hey, I need some money to buy coffee, I need money to buy, some food. This is money to fund the show, the travels. The more we do, the faster we can grow, the better the content we'll get. And right now we're really limited to traveling from September to Christmas time. But I want to get to a point where we're never off the road. We're constantly traveling, we're constantly exploring, we're constantly just doing things. The Travel Channel will never do. The Travel Channel, no producer from the Travel Channel will go alone into the middle of the woods with a camera and a tent, pitch a tent in a haunted forest, and spend the night alone just for the sake of the audience. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to spend the whole night in Lizzie Borden house by myself. I'm willing to go into the depths of blizzards up in New Hampshire to visit amusement parks in December. It's really hard for me to promote myself and sell myself. I'm not a good salesman, but the future of this channel, the future of this programming, and I'm not talking about this, all this stuff, this is, people are sending me this stuff for free now. I don't even have to pay for this stuff. The money that's being collected through Patreon or anonymous donations through my PayPal account, it's how this show, it's self-funded. It's how I'm able to keep this going. And for those of you who have supported financially, thank you so much. But I always have to preface, the money is secondary. I know the money is crucial. It's necessary. It's necessary to keep the show going. Otherwise, I won't be able to produce the shows. But as long as you're watching, you're supporting. So please don't ever feel like you're less of a supporter because you're not contributing financially. I'm simply asking, if you got $1 at the end of the month, if you have 20 bucks to get your name on the title card of every single one of my videos, and if you only want to do it for a couple months, that's fine. Or if you want to get a subscription box, a box that's personalized to you every month, Patreon.com is the way to do that. Or if it's a one-time donation, anonymous, or if you don't want to make it anonymous, I can certainly give you a huge shout-out. You can simply just essentially drop some money into the PayPal account. All of the money, I assure you, my word to God, all of the money is going into the production of the Aromatic Adventures, the show, me on the road, hotels, admissions, making things happen. And speaking of which, this is how much it means to me. I happened to find on my little travels this past 4 days. I kind of knew I was gonna find one, and I did, but I pulled a couple extra from my own personal collection. I said I wasn't gonna sell anymore because these are very near and dear to my heart. But I have more Witch's Brew, or excuse me, Witch's Cauldron Kringled candles, retired in 2014, and Wolfbane's. They're up on eBay. All you have to do is search Witch's Cauldron, Wolfsbane, and Kringle. They're the only ones up on eBay, right? Because I guarantee you, other than maybe the people I've sold them to, I'm the only person who still has these, and I'm giving up some of my own from my own personal collection because I want to make sure that we get all the way through Christmas and get all of our adventures done. It's really important. And thank you just for giving me that short little block of time every Sunday to say that. It's very, very hard for me to essentially to promote myself or be a salesman. I never ever want to ask people for money. I could never work in sales. But as a responsible YouTuber, I have to, because this is how it works. I'm not being sponsored. I'm not being paid by Colonial Candle. I'm not being paid by Yankee Candle. I'm not being paid by anybody. If I was wearing a Nike shirt, I'm not. If I was wearing a Nike shirt, I'm not being sponsored by them. Maybe one day that's a possibility. But at this point, the money is coming from my pockets and your very generous donation and pledges through Patreon, through PayPal, through eBay sales. So thank you so much for giving me that time. I always have to do that every Sunday. It's always very uncomfortable for me, but I hope you understand that it's coming from a sincere place. I'm not trying to get money for my own financial gain. Do you work alone or have people that help you? Says Jody. Jody, that's a fantastic question. I do have some friends. I have some friends, some of us who are with us today, who help out, whether it be the Facebook group, whether it be helping me do some research. I have friends throughout the country who kind of scout different places. I have friends who help me out with phone calls and set me up, put me in contact with hotel owners or amusement park owners or representatives. So I do have people to help me out. Unfortunately, none of these people are on payroll. None of them are they're getting nothing. They're doing it purely to help support the show. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, financially is not the only way to support the Candle Enthusiast or Aromatic Adventures. There's a lot of people supporting in other ways other than just financially. Jody, thank you for asking that question, because I don't think they'd feel comfortable with me sharing their names, calling them out, but I certainly receive a lot of help from the fans, from you guys. But at the end of the day, when it comes to filming and editing and evaluation, all the stuff, I mean, that's me. Even if I could afford to hire an editor, I couldn't do it. I need to edit my own stuff. So that, I just want to make that clear. Never feel uncomfortable, Shane. We understand this is how you get on the road and create such wonderful destination videos. Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you. It really does mean a lot to me. I was in a gift shop 2 days ago of a place where I just filmed a video, and the manager of the gift shop came up to me, introduced himself, and he said that he had seen my video of that location from the previous year, and he just kind of shared to me his thoughts of the video and how much he enjoyed it. And I don't think he really understood the magnitude of how much it meant to me, his words, his kind words. I don't think he truly understood, because he was bringing me to very, very high emotional levels by the compliments he was giving. So it's those little moments, it's those little tokens that happen every now and then that I carry in my pocket that keep me motivated, especially when things start getting really hard. You know, the days when you're just not getting the footage, you're not on your A game. It's those little tokens that those little memories that you pull out and be like, you know what? There's people out there who like what you do, they believe in you, and even if you fall and like make a fool of yourself, they're with you for the long haul. Or long haul sounds kind of weird. Let's say they're with you for the journey. It is true, if you wait a bit longer, the ticket prices will be slashed. What is that in reference to? Oh, the Ripper Tour, okay. Alright. Ooh, I want to read this. Laura says, I tried ASMR video and the sound quality wasn't good. I haven't tried with my new camera. So, I don't have it on me right now. Laura, if you go to, you know, what you need is a condenser microphone. You know, like Johnny Carson and Conan O'Brien talk show hosts, they have those condenser microphones. Something like that is really, really good. And then, if you can't afford something like that, even though you can get like the Yetis now, like the Blue Yeti microphones for a good price, like the one my brother has. I don't have it either. A very small investment is, what do you call it? A voice screen? A windscreen? It's one of those things you see in a sound booth. It's just a little circular thing with like a nylon stocking. But even if you put that in front of your cell phone or some kind of recording device, you'll be surprised how much that will soften your voice. It'll get rid of some of the internal nastiness that we all make when we talk inside of our mouth. So that's my little tip for you. I don't know if that's what you're asking, but ASMR videos, I have to be honest, like, a lot of people said that they like listening to my voice, and I'm like, wait a minute, should I make an ASMR video? I don't get it. I've tried it. I've tried listening to ASMR videos. And I'm not criticizing anybody, but I don't get it. I don't get any effect from it. It's very irritating, especially when people are eating. That is like, I have, what is it called, misophonia? It's that issue where that obnoxious noises actually create extreme amount of frustration. I have that, so it doesn't really work for me. I can't actually listen to ASMR because of my misophonia. So you're essentially saying the same thing. ASMR Poe, Nicole. I think that's not the first time you've suggested that. So maybe on Aromatically Speaking, maybe I'll give it my best shot. I'll set up my microphone. Maybe we'll do the Telltale Heart, and I'll do my best dramatic reading of the Telltale Heart. Maybe I can add a little bit of sound design in there. But I don't know. I don't know if you guys are going to be like, Shane, what are you doing? Like, stop that. Like, Shane, you're embarrassing yourself. Stop that. Or if you're going to be like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. I don't know. That's why I'm going to put it on the second channel. All right, guys. Thank you for joining on this Sunday. It truly is. It's getting later in the day now. It's 5:30 Standard Eastern Time, or Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you for joining this Sunday. I appreciate all of the comments. I wish I could keep my eyes on the comments the entire time while I'm live. Maybe one day I'll have maybe a producer next to me who can help me out, who read all the comments so I'm not missing anything. But either way, make sure you keep your eyes on the Candle Enthusiast channel. I have a lot of editing to do. Just please, please, please have a little bit of patience with me when it comes to editing. If you don't see videos popping up every day, it only means I'm working really hard on editing videos that hopefully not only you'll watch once, but maybe you'll watch it again next year, and maybe you'll watch it again the next year. I'm really trying to up my game as far as production value and rewatchability. I'm essentially trying to make holiday specials. That is my goal for this year. So give me some time. I still have some candle evaluations. A lot of the candle talk will be here on Aromatically Speaking, but for the most part, the candles for this season, we're done. I'm going to talk about Yankee Candle Christmas, don't worry. I'm going to talk about, you know, I have some Hallmark's Yankee Candle, or Hallmark's Christmas candles I want to talk about. And I said I was going to talk about Witch City Wicks, so I talked to Liz this morning, and we had fully made plans to do that promotional code, but it's not hard to tell that she's had a life-changing season. A life-changing season, not just in the growth of her business, but she's really going through a crash course of what it's like to go from here to here, and she she tried to apologize from like the deepest place of her heart this morning for not providing a promotional code. I'm like, Liz, come on, we're all in your corner, we all support you, and if there's anyone out there who doesn't support you, you don't need them to be buying your candles anyway. So Liz and I will be collaborating again. Witch City Wicks, we will be collaborating, but she said she'll probably never be able to offer a promotional code this time of the year ever again, because of the amount of output of her candles. But other times of the year, Christmas maybe, there's definitely a drop in the demand of candles. So we will be collaborating on videos, we'll be collaborating on hopefully some cool projects, but there will certainly be promotional codes. And remember, all of her other fragrances are available all year round. It's just her Halloween collection that's available only during this time of year. And a lot of her candles, I mean, you have to read the descriptions. Trust me. I mean, they are Halloween all of the way. Even her Christmas candles, Krampus, right? Halloween, Christmas, Holy Ground, any time of the year you want. You could do this spring, you could do this Halloween. So just keep your eye on her site if you want. If anything is sold out, I think she's locking her website to get through the October season. But yeah, I just wanted to address that real quick. And just reach out to Liz. If you enjoy what she does and you support her art, her craft, reach out to Liz. You know, I think any kind of positivity sent in her direction is truly going to make her feel good. And I tried to express to her this morning as much as I could that I'm like, please don't ever be sorry, because I'm all I am is just extremely happy for you, Liz. So so that is that. I mentioned Witch City Wicks, and that is it. That is it. Again, Smell It Sunday. Longer show. We actually got to that 200 minutes. If you're in the house and you haven't hit that thumbs up button, please do it now. And if by chance you're not subscribed to the Candle Enthusiast, please do so. And you know what? Share the love. You know what that means? Share the love. Tell some people about the Candle Enthusiast, or maybe phrase it: aromatic adventures. Let's get those subscription numbers up. The more subscribers we have, again, the more credibility. And then remember, last chance, and all the funds go to the show. They're on eBay right now. There's 2 of each, 2 Witch's Cauldrons, 2 Witch's Banes, and I will combine shipping. So keep that in mind at all times. Everyone have a great day. I will be seeing you soon, but until then, be good and happy October, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye-bye now.